Trump night.
Hi, Brandon.
Hi, Bob.
So I figured I'd start this out by kind of talking to you about because I consider you a friend.
Yeah.
I hope you consider me a friend.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. But I want to talk about like before I met you and then when we ended up meeting, because my road to knowing who you were to us knowing each other is very odd, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
and odd that we hadn't met before, that we didn't run into each other
in any way. It seems like we've always been parallel until the day we actually met.
Mm-hmm.
So I was this is back in, I don't even know when. It has to be mid-aughts, late aughts.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a function of some sort with some friends from high school. Me and you went to the same high school. And I was talking to our mutual old teacher, Mr. Osborne. Rest in peace, I believe. He passed, didn't he? I think he passed.
I don't know. I know his wife passed some time ago, but I didn't hear about him passing. But if he did, that's really sad. He was an awesome teacher.
Yeah, he was a great teacher. Really interesting guy. Super interesting guy. Like just one of those teachers where he wasn't strict and then he wasn't like, and he just was fun and he was weird. It was just great.
He was he kind of looked like Oliver Platt, for those of you who want like a visual, where it's like, and he was the one that got me like into like being interested in filming stuff. I mean, I was already interested. Like,
he was our media teacher, right? Like,
yeah, like, and he headed the film club and
the computer club.
And he let me borrow like his at the time, I guess it was the equivalent of like a GL2, but it seemed bigger than that at the time. But he let me borrow it and like film stuff with it. He was really cool.
Yeah, he was a really cool guy. I remember, this is not a podcast about Mr. Osborne, but I remember specifically playing Alf on an Apple IIe computer in his class. That's how old I am. And he would come up and he was one of those guys that would put his foot on the desk to like, and then rest his arm, but his crotch would be like nothing weird about it. He wasn't doing anything weird.
No, as you're saying that, I'm having flashbacks of him doing that. Holy
and his crotch, and he'd be like, what are you playing? And I'd be like, it's like, I remember describing what Alf was to him because he somehow had never seen Alf, and he didn't have any clue what Alf was.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. Anyway.
Yeah. How we doing?
I was at how we doing there, guys? You talk like Ebenezer Scrooge and W.C. Fields if they had a baby.
Yeah.
So I was at some function because he was I think his son was like the best man at a wedding, a wedding I was in. I'm not going to name all these names because I don't do that, but not that anything wrong with it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He told me, I was talking to him and he was like, hey, Bob, how you doing? What are you doing? And I was telling him back in those days, I was making tons of videos and I was putting them online and, everything. I told him that and he was like, and he told me there was a guy from my high school that was apparently going viral and it was becoming like a sensation. And I was like, and my first thought, I'm being honest now, this is true honesty. My first thought was like, there's someone from our high school who's going viral and it's not me? Who the fuck is this guy? What the fuck is he doing? I'm making all these goddamn videos. He's fucking popular? What the hell? I was like pissed.
Yeah.
I was like,
I would be too.
It's like, I mean, I was how young? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I was like, who the fuck is this dude? So Mr. Osborne told me your name. And as soon as I got home from that wedding, I YouTubed you. And I remember watching your videos and I was like, all right, well, I don't want to do whatever this is. But I was because I didn't. You were like filming yourself and doing all these, your reactions and stuff and your reenactments. And I was like, well, I don't want to do that. I'm not an actor. So I got it. And then I became a fan. Like I actually became a fan of you from like first, like, who's this fucking guy? And then I was like, okay, he's pretty fucking funny. And I just watched your videos for like years. Like you were just back when YouTube wasn't like a piled on shit show of like 9 billion accounts. Like, I actually look at my subscribes and see somebody on the reg. Like Brandon Hardesty would come up and I would watch your videos, I would actually see almost every one. So you were like, I was a fan. And I was like, man, I wish I could get this guy to do a video for me someday. but he's all famous now. Because I think at that
I was still
time,
working at the grocery store.
You probably were. I probably should have just reached out. I think I might have sent you an email and you said like something nice back, but we never did anything.
When you sent me that email, I remember that email. I had just come back from LA after like a really good year and then like the shittiest year, and I came home broke, and I had been betrayed by a best friend, and I was working as like data entry at an office, and you sent me this email. I was so fucking depressed. I'm like, I don't want to do anything.
And I'm like, hey man, you want to be in my stupid shit? Like, oh, you're like, I don't know who I am, man.
I wasn't in a headspace to even have fun, for a whole year. I swear to God.
Well, and see, and that's where it ended. For like, I can't like know the timeline, but it was years. There was that email.
It's 2012.
Was that 2012?
Yep.
Okay, so it was 2012. Then years later, years pass, and I'm just like, well, Brandon Hardesty, good luck being you, because we're never going to talk again. I'm just being a fan. Then years pass, and I'm doing a comedy short film night at the Creative Alliance downtown Baltimore. Like, I'm hosting it. I made a big deal of it. I got John Kassir and Adam Rifkin to, like make an intro to it and stuff. Like, I was going all out. And I went so all out that a local documentary filmmaker that we both know named Kenny Johnson, who I eventually will annoy to be on this show.
Yeah.
He shows up. I don't know who this guy is. He shows up and he's like, I'm like trying to get everything set up. And he's like, hey man, can you like come outside and do an interview with me? And I'm like, what? I don't know who this dude is. And he's like, I just want to film like what's going on and everything. I was like, for what? And he was like, oh, I'm making like a documentary about tonight. And I was like, okay. I was like kind of doubting who Kenny. I didn't know who Kenny was.
Yeah.
So anyway, he ends up filming that, and I think we had like some kind of Facebook. Not it wasn't close. It was just like I knew who Kenny was, and he just kept following up on me. He would ask me things. We kind of became. We would chat about filmmaking and cameras and stuff, and eventually, I was like, it came around to where I told him I was like, I'm gonna make this short for this contest. And I said, like, you think Brandon would do it? And he was like, yeah, I'll make him do it. Because at that point, he had made the documentary on his channel about you and your story. And I had just like, I knew that that connection existed, but I never wanted to bug you. Because in my eyes, you weren't, I know now, you've told me the story, I've seen you talk about it. I didn't know you were in such a bad place with the Hollywood stuff. So to me, I was like, man, I don't know if you think Brandon would lower himself enough to do something with me? And Kenny was like, Kenny, he was just like, yeah, of course. He was like, he just acted like, Brandon will fucking do it. I'll make him. It's fine.
Kenny has, for those who don't know Kenny, he's it's funny that like he interviewed you at the festival. He's very serious about what he does.
Very serious.
He loves filming everything. He's constantly thinking about ideas. And he's got an interesting personality in that he, I don't know if he could have made me do it if I didn't want to do it, but I think he was probably convinced that I just wanted, at that point, I wanted to do something so much that he was going to ask me.
I don't want to frame it in that light for Kenny's sake. Also, I want to say right now, I'm plugging Kenny. Look him up on Kenny Johnson. Look him up on YouTube. His work is incredible. Like, it just is. Anyway. I wasn't trying to say like he'd force you to do it. I just meant
no. I think
I just meant Kenny was like, dude, he was like telling me to like kind of not put you on a pedestal like that. He's like, Brandon will do this, dude. It's not like that big of a deal. And so then he put us in contact, and I remember saying specifically to you, I was like, hey man, like you said yes, but I was like, you understand that like it's gonna be me, you, and a tripod and a camera, right? I was like trying to warn you that it was going to be that small of a deal, and you were like, "Oh yeah, totally." So I was still like, this guy was on fucking South Park, So I mean, like to frame it for everyone, I'm going to embarrass Brandon a little bit. I was going to do this.
Yeah, it's fun.
Because I had already looked at this stuff. This is why I was nervous to even, like, now I can't even believe I was nervous. Because you're like the most personable guy. And you, in the end, I feel like you understand exactly what I was doing and the kind of stuff we both want to make and everything. But I didn't know that. So for anyone that doesn't know, Brandon has been, if you go to Brandon's IMDb, you'll find that you've been on Jimmy Kimmel Live, 5 times?
Yeah, that was when I was making the YouTube videos, and that was when they first, like, they blew up on YouTube, and then someone contacted me from Jimmy Kimmel Live and said, "Hey, we love your reenactments. Could you do 5 reenactments of the 5 Oscar nominees of, I think it was 2007. So it was like No Country for Old Men, There Will Be Blood, Juno, Michael Clayton, and I forget the last one. But yeah, and so he interviewed me like live through a laptop, and then they played a reenactment that I would put on a DV tape and I would FedEx it to them. Like they couldn't
like
even...
they were just you filming yourself in your house, and they're playing on national TV. It's fucking great. But you were actually in studio on Letterman when you did the bubble gag.
Yeah, and that was a depressing experience.
I've seen the clip. It didn't work.
Well, yeah, it didn't work. So I was on. This had nothing. I was in the middle. I was in LA, and I was auditioning for movies and TV shows, and then it was like during a little bit of a downhill period where I wasn't getting a lot. And then I get a message from casting person, whatever, at Late Show with David Letterman after I uploaded a video of me blowing bubbles out of my mouth with baby shampoo. And they asked me to be on Stupid Human Tricks. So I was like, yeah, sure. And I told my agent, and he was like, yeah, I guess. And, or my manager at the time. My agent at the time, her name was Stephanie Ritz, and she represented Robert Pattinson. She probably still does. And
dude, you're like 3 steps away. You could have been Batman.
I don't know. But like for months, I was trying to, I had a feeling that she had lost interest with me. And she like wasn't returning my phone calls. And then I get booked for Stupid Human Tricks, and I get there, and she just walks in the room like, it's Stephanie, and she's like, oh, hi, Brandon. And I was like, oh, I'm here with Robert. And I was like, oh shit, okay. So then he was there promoting a Twilight movie, this big successful movie, and I was there blowing bubbles, and not even successfully.
Well, you understand, from my point of view, you were on fucking Letterman, dude.
Oh yeah, no, it was
like,
cool. I was
Letterman,
excited to do it.
It was kind of a god to me. You know what I mean? Like, you were on Letterman, so it's funny how, like, the grass is always greener, right?
Yeah. But no, it was a cool experience. But I was so distraught that I didn't get the bubbles to work, because it worked like hell in dress rehearsal. Because they had, the way they did it, they had 6 people that they brought in for Stupid Human Tricks. They had them all perform it during a dress rehearsal, and then they narrowed it down to 3. They're like, oh yeah, I know that we flew you into New York to do this, but you're not going to be on the show. So it was like, I beat out.
Paid you, right?
They paid me, like scale or something. Okay. And I think I got residuals for it every once in a while. But yeah, I did it, and it was like bubbles, it was glorious. It was like I'd never happened before. It was multiple bubbles. And they said, all right.
The clip is on YouTube. If you Google Brandon Hardesty Letterman, it's not on your channel though. It's on some other channel.
Yeah, somebody else uploaded
it. But it's there if anyone wants to watch it. You got it at the very end.
I did. I saved it, and Paul Schaefer playing the orchestra, like as it's like weaning and like I forget what they did, but they played along with it, so it was cool.
No, I mean, so there's that. I'm not trying to make you talk about your whole filmography. So
no.
Yeah, that's not what I was trying to.
Too much.
No. I'm just. I have watched and listened to you in person talk about this stuff, so I was apprehensive to like talk about the Hollywood stuff, because I've heard you as a friend, like in my basement, like wax poetic and depressive about how it went. So like there's part of me that's like, should I bring this shit up? And I was like, yeah, he'll be fine. He'll tell me if it's bad.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. Bring up whatever you want.
So this is like, these are the self credits. Yeah, you were on Jimmy Kimmel, Letterman, you were on Attack of the Show, you were on Web Soup once.
That was all. They just aired videos. I was never actually on. They're like, look at this fucking guy making faces.
No, you showed up. You were on TV.
Yeah.
And when it came to actual like acting, I like specifically remember you first posting the Bart Got a Room stuff. You were like on your YouTube channel, like, I'm in a movie with William H. Macy, and I was like, this guy's fucking living it up, man. Like he's skyrocketing.
I was so excited to get cast in that. Like, I had no perspective on what like an indie movie was, or like it was like, there's William H. Macy in it. This movie's gonna make millions of dollars, and it's an amazing Hollywood movie. Like I was so excited to do that. Yeah.
And he made like a video for your channel, like when you play the ukulele, right, or something like that.
It was him and Kate McCucci, and they went over to the director's house to because they both play the ukulele. So they both like wrote a song to promote the movie, and the director told them like, are we going to put this on Brandon's channel so they can get a lot of views to promote the movie? So I was sort of helping try to promote
the movie.
Well.
Still, William H. Macy is on your YouTube channel. That's pretty fucking great.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So yeah, you were in an American Pie direct-to-video movie, The Book of Love. I remember,
yes.
Like, I was watching this all happen because you were always posting it. You were in a really great short film by the director of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows.
Yeah.
Dave Green, right? It's called Ham Sandwich was the short film.
Yeah.
I remember watching that, and I was like, that's right up my alley. I was like, this is great. You know,
yeah.
I remember specifically only years later I remember talking to you about Teenage Mutant Turtles, and you were like, Dave Green is the same guy that directed me once, and I was like, oh
yeah. And I was already a fan of his. I didn't know that he did like a music video directed a music video for a friend who did a cover of This Must Be the Place by Talking Heads, and it was all done in the style of American Psycho. One of the best music videos I've ever seen. I was already like, you made that? Holy shit. So yeah.
And is Ham Sandwich available anywhere? I'd actually like to watch it again. I haven't looked.
I thought it was on like, at the time it was on like Comedy Central's website.
It was on Funny or Die at one point.
It might have been. I'm sure if you search for it, you could find it.
I'll probably find it. Look for Ham Sandwich. It's really good. It's really well produced too. It's like well made. Then you were in an Adam Sandler produced like Happy Madison production. You were in Bucky Larson, Born to Be a Star.
Yeah.
And then of course this is okay. So when you agreed to be in my short, this is the one I bragged about, which is you were the only human being to ever play Eric Cartman officially. You are. I mean, Brandon, you are like that. There's no one else has ever done that.
They did it briefly with like smaller kids in another episode. But
all right.
Okay. Yeah. And not to get technical.
Yeah, but I mean, you had lines, and you farted shit out your ass. Like you did the whole spectrum of Eric Cartman.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
So when you agreed to be in my short, that's the thing. I like. A few people were like, "So what are you doing?" And I was like, "Whoa." The guy who played Eric Cartman is going to be in it. No big deal. Like that was the bragging thing. I said, like we weren't friends yet. Like, so I was like, still like, yeah, he's going to do this. And he played Eric Cartman. So watch out. And now the one I'm just going to skip right to this. Now, the one I always say, if somebody like asks me about the short, I always say, yeah, you know that guy right there? He was in Scorpion King 4. No offense to Scorpion King 4 Quest for Power, but that's what I always say if somebody asks me like something about it.
Pleased with yourself, that guy. He was in Scorpion King 4.
Well, hey man, you are in Brendan Fraser's had a renaissance. You exist in the Brendan Fraser Mummyverse, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's true. We did a video. Kenny and I, by the way, we as independent contractors, we make videos for IMDb about actors, and we made one about The Rock. And I was trying to figure out a way to just shoehorn in. By the way, the narrator of this video is technically in the same universe as Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
I played Boris, everyone's favorite. It's great. I just like saying it because it's funny. It's funny to people because, no offense once again to Scorpion King 4, but a lot of people don't know there's like 4 Scorpion King sequels. There's like
they did another one.
Yeah, it's like you're not even in the last one made.
Yeah,
like they went further. Why did they bring Boris back? Come on.
I died. Spoiler.
There's magic and shit. There's magic. Come on. You could be Boris's brother or something.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But anyway, I just find it funny looking at your IMDb. It's like all that stuff, and then there's my short with the most weird name on it, Timecrowave, and you played Mouthpiece. You've got quite an interesting IMDb page, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like up until that moment, I was like, meeting you, I was nervous as shit. I don't know if I ever told you that.
No, you never
even
did.
Kenny's like nonchalant. Brandon is no big fucking deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kenny, like totally was like, dude, what are you talking about? And I was just like, I don't know, man. He was on Kimmel. I don't know. But so I was like totally nervous to meet you. But like, I think it was like 2 hours in, I was like, all right, I get it now.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, we were totally having fun. And I was like, what was I worried about? I don't even know.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then since then, there's like you had I was looking to just see the time period. Like 3 years ago, you and Kenny and me took over your old channel that created all of that.
Yeah.
And started making these stupid ass videos.
Yeah, and it was like we renamed the channel. We just made. We're trying to, I guess, subvert the expectations of people who are somehow still subscribed to my channel. And I think the kernel of funniness behind it was, wouldn't it be funny if somebody who's been subscribed to me for 5 years and I haven't uploaded shit, just like X video pops up,
and then
let's make that weird as shit.
It has 117,000 subscribers. So we were making these, like, if you look at it, you restarted it by uploading a video of your dog. And then it went to like a few weird like question videos, and then it went to the Creed stuff, where it was you reacted to Creed 2, then Kenny reacted to you reacting to Creed 2, then I reacted to Kenny reacting to you reacting to Creed 2, and then all of us reacting to that. It was like, it came out of nowhere. No one was expecting it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just like this weird thing. Like I never thought I would ever know you well enough to do something like that too. Like that's just how far it got. And then, you made a really good video too, where you kind of like went over your entire that entire story of all your stuff, which I thought was really good actually.
Oh wait, which video was that? Sorry, you cut out a little bit.
Oh, do you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. You like I think it's called I found my old YouTube videos.
Oh yeah, so when we started up, when you, me, and Kenny sort of took over my YouTube channel, I made all of the old videos like unlisted and private. And I was like, I just want to move on and do something new with this, but not be so focused on it and just have fun. And then I would get comments like, where the fuck are all your old videos? And then I kind of felt bad, and so I made a video where I found them under my bed.
That too. All these new videos popped up, but there was nothing to show people. Like they were looking at the channel like, what did I just subscribe to this?
Everything about what we did was completely ill-conceived.
It was so
and funny as shit just to us. It was like some Andy Kaufman inside joke shit.
Yeah, like there's one called Spider-Man Gets the Mail, and it's just you in a Spider-Man costume getting the mail.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I was just telling a friend of mine about those Spider-Man videos. That was when Kenny and we were trying to get some YouTube videos swept up in the algorithm of Spider-Man and Elsa videos.
Stuff. Kenny was obsessed with that. Yeah.
He was, yeah. And so we did, instead of like fun kid videos, we just did mundane things like Spider-Man cleans his toilet, and you guys filmed me for like 15 minutes.
We tried not to laugh the entire time because it was so nothing. It was just nothing. It was just you actually cleaning a toilet. There was no joke at all. It was so fucking funny. And the only reason it's funny is because you have all these subscribers. Like, it's not funny if you didn't have subscribers. oh man, and then like there was the one video, I don't forget what video it is, but where you guys like fake prank me, and then you run up into the house and you start trying to find pennies, and then you like do the dishes, and then it just meanders for a while until it ends, and you never finish the prank. Fuck. And the whole time you're filming it, I was sitting in your basement looking at my phone. I remember that specifically because I was like, I'm done my part. So
Or the one time when we made a video that was like trying to like the trend of all the memes with B movie and like, oh, you watch B movie and it's and it speeds up every time someone says B or something. And so we had like the story behind it is like what was starting to emerge was the storyline of me being this megalomaniacal YouTuber trying to reclaim some old glory, and I'm forcing you guys to do things that you don't really want to do, so we're all gonna sit and fucking watch B movie. And then I get a call and I'm yelling at someone on the phone in the laundry room, and then I storm out and Kenny leaves and the camera just stays on you from behind. And it's just you on your phone for like 8 minutes. God damn.
It's so good, man. The story also, I remember talking about it with you guys. Like we were going to like make a fake merch line that said, it was called Looks Good. Mm-hmm. And it was like terrible shirts to say looks good. And the very deep story was I was living in your house. Like Kenny, I remember talking to Kenny, and he was like, "I'll just say I just stopped. I just stopped over and stuff." I never said anything like that. Like I'm just always there.
Yeah.
Like no one actually knows our living situation or something.
And there was a point where we took what was then just like a spare bedroom, and it was just completely bare and sad with like a crack in the wall, with like a very small bed, and me as Spider-Man, like alone and crying over a picture of Mary Jane, and then I try to sleep. And Kenny told you to like make noises, like shift the floorboards, and be like, so like
what are we doing?
What the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, my favorite. Looking at this, my favorite from that period of your channel was the Brandon Hardesty is a liar, like because we're calling back to the old response video craze of the like old YouTube, which doesn't exist anymore. But the thumbnail is my favorite because it's just your face, and then behind you is me all the way in the back, just looking at the camera in like just complete fear. Like,
oh yeah, you were like wandering.
I was wandering in the background while you were like yelling about some guy that doesn't exist.
And it was like in the middle of it was completely out of context argument that you only saw one video of like 6 responses down. So I'm like bringing up all this shit that doesn't make any sense, like talking about the court case.
Right.
We're talking about my kids.
Yeah, who's that? And then we capped it off. It ended with us like you getting tired of doing movie reenactments. So me and Kenny were going to take over the load, but we were really bad at it. Like me and Kenny can't act, so it was just atrocious. Yeah, like,
and it's like me rushing around with the camera, like say the line.
Yeah, you just like you're forcing us to make content that we don't want to do. Pretty fucking great. And then there's like then there was like a 2-year dead silence after the last video, which was the prank one on me. Or the Jurassic Park one with me. And it's just like a 2-year dead silence. And then you and Kenny, this is during the pandemic.
Yeah. We were it was the summer of the pandemic.
I am not doing well mentally during this. Mm-hmm. But you and Kenny are messaging me about the LG method. And I'm just like, this sounds great. Start doing it. And I said my part was you guys make the videos. I'll go into the comments to start just saying crazy shit about Brandon.
Yeah.
And like, I just like you guys made this series of videos that was like self-help stuff called the LG method, where you're basically losing your mind. It was obvious at that point. It's obviously parody, but it's great. Out of that whole, there's a lot of them. So I don't want to. Let's not talk about all of it. But my favorite one is I Feel Powerful. If I had to recommend one to anyone, Go to Brandon's channel on YouTube and watch I Feel Powerful. I love that video. They're
Is
all
that the
good.
one where I shave my head and I'm running outside? And,
Yes.
yeah.
I remember when you uploaded it, I was like, fuck, man. There's actually a video on there of me like with a filter on my face, like threatening the channel and stuff. It got really weird.
You're like a glass of iced tea and you're just kind of mumbling. You can barely hear you.
Oh,
Brandon.
the thing is on. Oh, it's like a non-video uploaded to this shit. It was like a mess. What I wanted to say to you is every time I upload something to my YouTube channel, and sometimes when nothing has happened, 2 or 3 people from that era of your channel still comment on my shit.
That's awesome.
There's one guy named B Sims.
Yes, it's so weird. I don't know a lot of usernames by heart, but
B
that actually rang a bell.
Because he would get. I used to complain on like fake complaining under these videos about you threw a Slurpee at my wife's car, and you won't apologize to her, and that's why I'm really mad at you. And my son has been traumatized by the Slurpee incident. And B Sims would respond to all of them and like totally go with the whole ruse, he would just go with it. And then he just moved over to my channel and started commenting on my videos. And he still is doing it. It's been 2 years and he's still like doing it. I'm like, okay, I don't know who this fucking guy is. Whatever. So I guess I just wanted to kind of reminisce because we had so much fun back then. That was like right before everything fell apart.
Before our lives fell apart. I would love to do some more of that shit again. Like,
the channel's there, so one day.
Yeah, definitely. And we had a little bit of like, we wanted to end the LG method thing and me like, hey guys, so this is obviously like a parody, but hope you guys had fun with this and like be genuine about it and like, we might try some of this stuff in the future. And it was all Kenny's idea too. So it's like, he just wanted to do something. And I was like, fuck, all right, yeah, you're right. Let's get out of the house.
Kenny's like an engine of...
I can't keep up with him.
Kenny, I almost feel like apologizing to him because he messages me with ideas and I'm just like, I'm kind of tired, dude.
He just messaged me before he's making a round trip down to Disney World.
Yeah.
And the day before yesterday, he's like, I got some crazy ideas for short films. I was like, all right, yeah, run them by me. He's like always wants to run something by me.
Yeah, he's always trying to make. I mean, God bless him. He's always making it. I wish I had Kenny's drive.
Dude, same here. Like, I don't have what he has. Yeah.
I mean, I've made stuff during the pandemic. I made a feature. I made 2 shorts. It's not like I didn't do anything, but like Kenny, he never stops. Like nothing can stop that dude. I admire him. I'll eventually have him on here to talk and annoy.
You should
annoy him. We've basically plugged his whole life at this point. But in the end, I wanted to say, if I never said it, thank you for doing the thing with me because in the end, we ended up doing a bunch of shit after it. Like, I think that like making Time Crewwave, like kind of, made us friends. You ended up you had another channel called No Small Parts. And then you had the other one was his Back Focus.
Yeah.
And we had a blast making those Christopher Walken videos. What a weird set of videos. The Back Focus is still up and everything, right? That's still
it's still up, but it's like I haven't uploaded anything. We do have, like Kenny and I, we made another like a No Small Parts kind of what they call it. We call it supporting actor spotlights now. And we made a whole other episode that we wanted to do as a podcast. But we wanted to make a video component. It's just like sitting in the can. And I've been talking to Kenny. I was like, let's just upload it. So we might do that. I'll upload whenever I have time. Basically,
I'll say this too. I've always been jealous of your ability to make successful YouTube channels. Like you have like 3 legitimate, like successful YouTube channels, I think, in my estimation. If anyone with over 10K subscribers, I'm like, that's a success. Well,
the first one was like right place, right time. I kind of started uploading right when YouTube started, almost right when YouTube started, like early 2006. Sort of rode this wave. And then the second one was that was actually hard work, being unemployed in LA and just doing nothing but editing and researching and making videos. Like, and
that was No Small Parts, right?
Yeah, and it just worked out.
Also, I feel like good quality essay videos still play well on YouTube. Like they get traction no matter what. So
yeah, totally.
But now that's transferred to IMDb, right?
Yeah. So No Small Parts, I sold the name of No Small Parts to IMDb, and I make videos for them, and and I've continued to pitch like, longer versions of something or something with a bigger budget, but they just and it's fine. They just like the bite-size 3 to 4 minute videos because, that's what people are going to digest. So it's, it's fine. And it doesn't mean that I can't focus on other things that I want to focus on.
Still, it's making stuff like I've done stuff like that for money, and it always saps me from doing my own stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm just like, that's enough, like I don't want to, I like you finish that and you're like, making internet content is I don't know, it's a devil in your shoulder.
Yeah, I will say it's most of the time it's fun, and then every once in a while we're focusing on an actor like, I don't really feel like going through, what's her name? She everyone knew her from a sex scene in True Detective. She was in Baywatch. Anyway, every once in a while.
When you do those, do you watch all the stuff they've been in?
Not everything, because sometimes we just did Idris Elba, and it's like what I've seen, I'm lucky that I've already seen, like The Wire and some of his movies, and other things I'm like, I'm gonna watch enough of it to understand it and read fandom.com and understand what the character is, read wiki pages, go to YouTube and search Idris Elba scene and see what the thing that's most viewed is, and just like go off that, research as much as I can.
When I was making videos for I'm not going to name the name, but I was making videos for a certain company on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe I asked you this once, why I found the most audacity of it. I was like, the fact that I have to get the clips myself angered me so much. I ended up stopping. The pay wasn't good, so I stopped doing it. Mm-hmm. I'm not naming the company. Yeah. But I was just like, I can't. You just asked me to make a video that has at least 90 movies in it. I have to get those files and watch them.
It's like, yeah.
Do you know what the amount of time that takes for what you're? Yeah. I like. So if anyone, what I'm saying is, for anyone listening, what Brandon does is not easy. I know for a fact. But they're really good videos. I love the IMDb stuff.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, and you get tons of traction from that. I mean, some people have got to recognize your voice by now.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It'd be nice to try and foray it into some narration work. Like, I made a profile on some voiceover websites and cut together an audio reel from different IMDb videos. And I don't know,
did you get anything?
No, I didn't get anything. It's tough.
Okay.
But, I reached out to a local sort of celebrity actor here in Baltimore named David Du Bois, who is known for his claim to fame here in Baltimore is Crabs for Christmas. It's a Christmas song that pops up every year. He's done a lot of songs. He's done like supporting roles and shows that are shot here or in DC. I actually reached out to him for advice like a month ago. I was like, I'm trying to put together like a voiceover reel. How do I do this? And he laid it out for me and who I would need to contact and stuff. So I don't know. It's something I keep in the back of my head. Yeah.
But I mean, I think the one time we actually really talked about it, like what your whole Hollywood moment.
Mm-hmm.
What I found most interesting was that you were like, we were talking about how you felt then and how you felt now, and now being like 2 years ago, right before COVID. And you said to me, you're like, it was a thing, but I've never been more content with my life than I am now, and I wouldn't change that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you're like, for anyone that wants to do something like that, they can have it. I just remember you saying like, fuck it. You're like, they can have it.
Well, there was a point, and this is going to segue nicely into what we're talking about.
I was kind of hoping for that too.
From the very beginning, for a while, and I think a lot of actors feel this way, is like, and this is no knocking people who feel this way, but a lot of people are like, I only want to act. I'll only be happy if I'm doing this. And people say it about comedy or whatever thing that they want to do artistically. And that's like a real big recipe for complete misery if it doesn't work out, which chances are it might not, because the odds are low. So I wanted a family. Like, I wanted to start a family. I wanted to get married to my girlfriend. I wanted to get a house. And I was like, at the time, I'm just like, I'm hoping for that lottery ticket, series regular on a CBS sitcom or something, and then we're set. And trying to pay off school loans. I'm in debt all the time. And it's like, but I'll just stay out here a little longer. It's just one more thing. And then I would see actor friends of mine who were like 34 and starting a family, and I was like, I don't want to wait that long. And I got to a point where I was like, I want to like go back to school and just try and start a family, and this is secondary now. And I'm so happy I did that. And and it's still like, I can always go back, and like maybe I'll grow older and into a certain look. I'll look like fucking Ernest Borgnine or something, and then like I get like a bunch of one-off roles and CSIs or something. But like, I'm so much happier now. Although it took some growing to get to that point, but I was like, I'm so content. Right. I don't have to worry about it. It's just anxiety inducing, just like living on the edge, which can be fun. And then it can also just be terrifying. And I was like, I couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I only bring it up because like you were the one friend I had who had kind of like, I don't know how to say it, touched the stars for a moment.
Yeah.
Like just touched it. You just grazed it. And then you were like, softly. And you just the way you slayed it out to me, you're just like, yeah, it was shit. Don't do it. You're like, yeah, you said don't want it. You said that's what you told me. You said don't want it. Because I've never, I mean, what my biggest claim to fame is like VHS 2, like editing VHS 2, and that which is fine. I'm proud of that. But
yeah,
like,
man.
But you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like that anymore. I don't, like, the goal of my life is not to be, I don't even know what it is anymore. After the last 2 years, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, I wanted, like, you put it into perspective for me. Huh. When we talked, like, that was kind of in a weird time, but I remember you saying it very vividly, because like, that was important to me.
Oh, cool.
Because like, I know creatively, I never knew where I was going, and then it was like when I had someone who actually was like did stuff for a second, and they were like, you don't want that, you don't want none of this, Ricky Bobby.
It's like if you want it, it's okay. Just make sure there's nothing else you want more.
Yeah.
Like, it's, if you're willing to, if you're one of those really driven people who's willing to put the time in and live locally in LA and just like bust your ass and live in a shitty apartment and just.
But have you met those people? Oh,
yeah.
They're like desperate people, also like great on my fucking nerves,
Yeah, there's a lot of desperation in struggling actors for sure. I've gone to enough acting classes to meet some people.
Yeah.
And I was one of those people, for it's like the and that's bad in an audition too. Casting directors can smell out desperation.
Yeah.
My acting teacher once told me, like, going on an audition is like going on a first date. Okay, you're not going to show up on your first date and be like, oh, hey, how you doing? I got you some roses. You want some chocolates? God, I really want to fuck you. I can't wait till we fuck. Like, it's not. You can't do it like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's something to be said for just like. Okay, so like, I'm not a family guy, but I like, if I had to answer that question that you like kind of like set up for me years ago, it would be like, I kind of like peace. Like, that might be my priority more. I'm always gonna make stuff.
Yeah.
I'm always gonna make videos and short films and stuff, but like, in the end, I think I might value my own sanity and my own peace more than anything, and that's what's important to me. And I know that chasing certain things like that. So it's not going to be peaceful anymore, you know, getting too old to do it too. Like to not have that peace, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah. But it is kind of a good segue. Now that we've run down This Is Your Life with Brandon Hardesty, which I'm sorry if you didn't want to do that.
No, dude. I don't care. I'm having fun.
Yeah. I like to give everybody an assignment. It's kind of Shrimp Night is never, it's like this nebulous show I created because I just wanted to talk to people. And I was like, why don't I have a show where I talk to people? Like, what am I doing with my podcasting life where I can't just talk to human beings? Yeah. So I created this, and then I realized, like, wait a minute, I don't want to just interview people. So I started giving out like assignments. And for Brandon, because of our mutual love of Mr. Mom, which I believe was brought about because of season 3 of Stranger Things. Is it 3? Oh,
was it like a renewed interest? It was a throwback or something?
Because Sean Astin plays like a dorky dad, and he rents Mr. Mom for the family, and everyone makes fun of how lame it is. And I remember that both of us were like, man, fuck this shit. Like, you're like, Mr. Mom rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Mom. Maybe Mr. Mom will have a resurgence with Keaton coming back as Batman.
Yeah, maybe
something like that. But because of that one fact, and I was like, what is Brandon like? Mr. Mom. That's the first thing that came to my mind. You are forever connected to Mr. Mom for me.
Yeah.
So because of that, I was like, one of the things I suggested was top 10 parenting movies.
All right, this is going to be interesting.
It's a weird category, which I've learned trying to do this.
Yeah, same. Yeah. What did you find when you were trying to look up movies?
That's number one. You can't Google it. You can't just Google like parenting movies because it just comes up every comedy, which is fine. But it's
are we there yet? Are we done yet?
Right,
like
and
all those
those are about parenting, so it's not like those are wrong. But I didn't want my list to be those.
No,
maybe one or two of those that came up, I was like, okay. But in the end, I had to like just dig into my mind and be like, all right, parent and child relationship movies. And it's weird because for me, I don't want to spoil it, but two specific genres came up and seemed to have only come up in my brain when I was thinking of it.
Interesting.
So, and you'll quickly understand the two genres that came up. So, what about you? What did you find out?
Well, yeah, I mean, when I started, I went through the same process as you, where I was like, I Googled parenting movies, and at first I thought of a few off the top of my head, and then I found a few listed. I was like, yeah, that's true. All right, that's a good one. And then I just like ran out, and then I started thinking about, I have some on my list that aren't even, the movies aren't about parenting themselves, but they have elements of parenting in them.
Same.
That I really enjoy, that are super effective and that have stayed with me. So that's kind of, like
I don't think we can be wrong here. Like,
yeah,
it's a really weird ass topic, but I love it. It's like so odd. And even looking at my list now, I'm like, well, I messed up. I completely messed up. I changed it like 5 times, and I'm still like, I'm not happy with it. So the way we'll do this is we'll just go from like 10 to 1, and we'll each do like our number 10. Every time we have a double, like if I say my number 10 and it's your number 5, tell me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like so we'll just go that, and then we'll talk about our honorable mentions, which I have a considerable amount. Yeah. So parenting movies. This is a weird or movies with parenting, or movies about parenting. I don't fucking know. It could be movies about children almost. Like, you know what I mean? Like you could say it a few different ways.
Yeah, and like I don't even know how to rank them, because I have like there's a movie about parenting that is on my list. But then there's another movie with a moment, just the moment in this other movie. Same. Love more than the entire other movie about parenting.
Right.
So I'm not sure what to do. So fuck it. Let's go.
Okay. So as the guest goes first, you're number 10.
All right.
And then I'll say my number 10.
Okay. I put Finding Nemo on there. That one popped up. You know, good father-son relationship thing. Something
that's like meat and potatoes. Good, like that's
definitely. And it's something that also that I wanted to bring up is something that I've been thinking about ever since, because I have an almost 3-year-old. He'll be 3 in August, and ever since becoming a father, watching movies where kids are in trouble or like in pain,
Yeah.
I can't. It's really hard for me to watch.
You respond different than before you were a dad.
Yeah, it's like and it's it makes it sound like before I would just
You're like relishing in kids dying.
yeah, I'm like watching a Serbian film on repeat. But no, it's like it's a little tougher.
That's
and
on my list. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's because I relate to it more.
Right,
right. And I think if I were to, some of these movies I'm afraid to watch again because I'm afraid I'm just going to cry the entire time.
Right.
So it's like, and Finding Nemo is one of them, I think.
So that's a great answer. And everything you just said defines me, the childless heathen I am. Because my number 10 is Pet Sematary. Now, okay, I wasn't I didn't know you were going to say all that. But, okay, tell me it's not... Okay, just tell me it is not about parenting. Because it is literally about their love for their child and them like literally ruining their entire lives and doing something completely heinous to just have that feeling of love back. And then it ends up destroying them completely. So I was like, that's parenting. I mean, like the things that as a father, I don't know that feeling, but as a parent, the lengths you would go to, like that's what the movie's about to me. The lengths you would go to have it not hurt, to have your child back, because that's a pain unlike anything that, you know.
Yeah. Man, I never really, I always loved Pet Sematary, but I never
the original, not the remake. The original. I want to be clear.
Original. Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen it, and
you know what, Brandon? I don't think you should rewatch it if you said what you said before, because, I mean, the kid gets run over by a truck.
Yeah, I mean, I could get past it. I've already seen it, so
it's coming, right?
I know it's coming, and I think I'd like to rewatch it now with that perspective in mind. I really like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to think outside the box. That should give you the idea of one of the genres that definitely popped up, because I was like, why is this all this? I was like, why am I only thinking this one lane? I was like, why is that coming up? But yeah, like to me, this is going to be a little dark, but like Pet Sematary, when my father died, my grandparents lost their minds. And I witnessed firsthand for several years what losing a child was like for someone.
Wow.
Even though he was 49 and they were, in their 70s, but like to watch them literally fall apart, it made movies like Pet Sematary make more sense to me. Because I was like if they could, if like I knew my grandfather, if like, Herman Munster showed up and was like, "You bury your son here," I think my grandfather would have done it. You know what I mean? Like, they were that deep of grief. So that's why that speaks to me on that. Like, so a little bit dark.
No,
but
that's a great that's a solid number 10.
Okay, number 9. You're number 9.
We need to talk about Kevin.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, that's about parenting, and that's like and that's another one I'd like to rewatch too. That'd be a tough rewatch, but still, just the idea of now having gone through moments with my son where he just seems evil. No, he's not evil, but like, all right. So my son's been doing this thing recently where, he'll get upset, his emotions get out of control, and he'll hit me. And he'll kind of like look at me and like tap my arm, like, and it makes me so angry. Like, I don't know what to do. Although now we've started just saying stop, and then we ignore it. That's our strategy. Yeah. But like the idea of this child who was literally born with this just hatred for his mother is it's such a juicy plot device that I'd love to rewatch that.
I remember when it came out, I think my favorite review was somebody called it Christopher Nolan's Stewie Griffin. Which I was like, dude, that is incredible.
That's a good one.
That is such a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to rewatch that too. It's a damn good movie. I haven't seen it since it came out, but
yeah, there's not a whole lot of not rushing to rewatch to relive that experience of watching that movie, but yeah, I'd like to check it out too.
So my number 9 is way lighter, and it's just a very light choice, and it's mostly for one B plot in the movie, which is it's Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie. Which for anyone, it's not. I don't know how many people listening to this have seen Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie, but there is a B plot where Tim just steals a guy's son. There's a guy that works at a toilet paper stand in the mall he's running, a used toilet paper stand, and he just starts calling that guy's son his own son.
Yeah.
And just steals the kid's son.
God, I don't remember that. I just rewatched clips of this. I just rewatched clips of this movie the other day, and I don't remember that part. I got to rewatch it.
You got to rewatch it for the son thing, because in the end, he steals the guy's son, and then in the end of the movie, he literally like sacrifices the son so that they may live. It's and the only reason I put it on the list because number one, I find it hilarious. But number two, like from two different perspectives, from such an insane, stupid, silly movie, you have like you're watching the grief of a man lose his son on his face, and then the sheer sickening arrogance of Tim to just be like, "This is my son now," or you lose your job. You know what I mean? Like it's sick, but it's so crazy. I love it.
That's great.
So that to me, and like he has, and throughout the movie, he has a child, like. And the child like sees him having sex with a woman and stuff. You know what I mean? It's like it's bad parenting on a level that is unheard of.
Yeah,
but it's Adult Swim level jokes, so it's fine.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, right. So that's a weird number 9, but I had to go with it.
All right, that's a great one.
Yeah. Number 8, you're number 8.
All right, so number 8, I put AI, artificial intelligence.
Oh, that's good.
So like when whenever this movie came out, whenever I watched
2001.
it, 2001 as a teenager, and that the way when the mother is activating the child and she has to hold certain parts of the back of his neck and say like 5 random words, and then he's going to be activated and there's no going back. And I just remember watching that scene and being so fucking scared. Like, oh my God, is she going to say all the words? And then when she does, I mean, Haley Joel Osment, Mr. Potato Face himself when he was a kid.
Dude, when he grew up, I saw a picture of him when he got older and I started laughing. It's like body shaming someone, so I'm guilty, I guess.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that too.
But his head it's odd. If you knew him as a kid,
yeah,
the way his head grew up, it's just like
it's a noticeably.
If we had no comparison, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
If you just met him for the first time now, it wouldn't be funny. But it's only funny if we saw him as a kid for how many movies and then.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me not body shame him, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
But like, and then when she activates him and his face just like completely washes over this expression, and he's just like looking with complete love and devotion to this mother, and they embrace. I remember like it's a beautiful scene, and then it's also terrifying. And I remember thinking about how, God, a commitment like that really is fucking terrifying.
And like, that movie has so many themes of parenting throughout it. Number one, I mean, like there's the William Hurt, R.I.P. William Hurt. The fact that he created all the boy robots because they're his dead son. You've got sort of a surrogate family relationship with Jude Law, like as a kind of a really just he's not really a father figure, but he's all that he has. There's a distance there. It's just, I don't know. Oh no, go ahead. I was gonna say, can I just say that I actually am one of the defenders of that movie? Like, I think it's a masterpiece.
Oh, completely.
I even like the ending.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's one of Spielberg's best movies, and I don't care what anyone says. Like, I think it holds up even more now than it. Like, the initial response was bad from everybody, but now I watch it all the time. I love that movie so much.
Yeah,
I just had to say that because I feel defensive
You're already on your heels.
Well, yeah, because everyone just fucking hates that movie, and I'm like, I don't get it, man. This thing is a fucking masterpiece. Whatever. Like,
yeah, no, it's amazing.
It's amazing. It's so good. I mean, revisit it. You know, for anyone that like doubts me, revisit it. And if you want to know the truth, Kubrick wrote the ending.
Yeah, that's true. People were giving people thought like, oh, the end is so disjointed and Kubrick died before it was finished, so Spielberg must have tapped that ending on or something.
And Spielberg made it schmaltzy and everything. No, that was Kubrick's intention. So
yeah. But
yeah, I am actually mad that that's not even my honorable mentions. So I'm actually annoyed but we're in sync.
Yeah.
We're in sync because you want to know what my number 8 is?
What's that?
The Shining. Like the Kubrick connection there, you know?
Yeah, okay.
So the reason I put The Shining is because once again, this is not a good parent. Well, it is half and half. I thought, what has got both sides of the coin? And I was like, to me, The Shining, you know, it's got one of the best mothers ever.
Yeah.
Maybe not the smartest mother.
Yeah. And
like
maybe
she's
not the one with the best dental hygiene.
No. But it's like she should have not had her son in that situation, so I can't forgive that. But she would go to any lengths to protect him. And I was like, that's a pretty damn good mother. Like, love that she shows her child is without question and unconditional. And that it's and because it's a horror movie, it gets to be on display more than most movies, you know?
Yeah.
And then you have, which some could argue, an alcoholic, disconnected, kind of closed off father figure. You know, even if we took the ghosts away, it kind of still reads like that to me. Yeah. You know, so The Shining makes me think of parenthood.
Interesting. Yeah.
My parents were great too, I should say. I'm not saying that this is like
watching The Shining and thinking, oh, I miss my dad.
I miss my dad. No, these are not like Pet Sematary is not autobiographical in my mind. Neither is that. It's just I was trying to think up like that, and to me, The Shining has both sides of the coin. It's like one parent that is struggling to like do anything to keep their child from being killed by the other parent. You know? Yeah. Like I don't know. That's good parenting to me.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. That is outside the box.
Yeah. Also, she got him therapy and stuff. Like. She did, you know what I mean? Like she was trying. She was trying. Of course, she did stay with the guy who like broke his arm, but
yeah, well, the kid spilled the fucking papers all over the ground.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
Right? Yeah,
don't put my fucking business papers on the ground.
Right. Yeah, but it's got both.
Did he do it again? I don't think so.
It's like the old thing, like how Stephen King hated his casting because he just looks like a psycho. You know what I mean? He looks like a psycho before their ghosts show up, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I don't care. I think it's perfect.
Yeah.
You're number 7.
Your number 7, I put Mrs. Doubtfire.
It's on my honorable mentions.
It's on your honorable mentions because and really, I mean, it's it's just, you know, I love Robin Williams, and
oh god, yeah.
It's just it's a classic comedy, and there's a lot of, you know, he goes to great lengths to you know, be with his kids, but really what bumped it to my list was just the moment in the end where he's in court and he's like arguing for his kids, and that line where he goes, you know, not being without my kids is like being without air. I need my kids to breathe. Like he had this beautiful you know, monologue in the end, and that kind of bumped it up for me. And it's just, I grew up watching that movie, of course, so
I think totally agree. One of the reasons I wonder sometimes if Robin Williams was so connected to our generation so hard is because if you really look back, especially the 90s, almost all of his movies were about like childhood in some form. Like they really focused on that. You know what I mean? Like,
Jack,
Hook. Was directly about his. Hook could be on the fucking list.
That's in my honorable mentions, actually.
Oh, really? That's good. It's not on mine. What was I thinking? See, I forgot all this shit. You know, but that's a really good answer. Jack.
I was just thinking about that movie today.
Yeah.
I'm like,
That speech was like really popular when he died because it's such a good speech at the end of Jack.
Yes,
You know?
yes, it is.
Yeah.
At the end of a really kind of odd movie when you start to really think about it.
It's
So
a
did
great
his
trivia.
did his body go through puberty then at age 4? They kind of skip past all the messy stuff that would be awkward to show and just, oh, he's 40.
I think that's like the two trivia points I like to remind people of are like Three Men and a Baby was directed by Leonard Nimoy and Jack was directed by Francis Ford Coppola.
Oh, yeah.
Which is such an odd thing.
Yeah.
Like, what? Yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah.
We're number 7, right?
Yeah, you're number 7.
My list bounced around too. It's Hot Rod.
Hot Rod.
Have you seen Hot Rod?
I haven't seen Hot Rod. I've seen clips of it, but I'm only vaguely familiar with it.
I am a super fan of Hot Rod.
All right.
But for anyone that doesn't know, the story of Hot Rod is he has a father. He has a stepfather who doesn't think he's man enough. His stepfather has a heart attack. And so now that he has a heart attack, he can no longer prove to his stepfather he's a man by beating the shit out of him. So the whole movie is about Rod having to raise money doing stunts so that he can buy his stepfather a new heart so he can beat the shit out of him. So
that sold me on it now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the plot. I mean, that's to me, that's like, I don't know. That's terrible parenting. that their stepfather, their mother lets it happen too, and their stepfather's whole idea of manhood is pretty fucking toxic, but it's hilarious beyond belief. Like,
yeah.
It's just like you're not a man unless you beat the shit out of me. It's crazy. It's great. You gotta watch that movie. All right, you're number 6.
Number 6. I've only watched it once, but I put it on there because I think I'd want to keep revisiting it like over and over again. Is Boyhood?
Okay, good answer.
Because it's like now after I watched that movie before I had Noel, and we have another boy on the way, and now I want to rewatch it and just sort of get a feel for what I'm in store for, because I'm terrified of just the different stages of development and then the teenage years and is he going to turn out okay? Is he going to want to do drugs? Is he going to I'm already thinking like 12 years ahead, but
how cool of a dad am I going to be? Right?
Yeah. How exactly am I going to be like Ethan Hawke? You don't put bumpers down. Life doesn't have bumpers. Or that line from the trailer. But like, also, it was a cool movie to watch. Like, didn't have the desire to rewatch it really until recently because it's just so long, and I kind of got the point when I watched it. But it was a cool exercise, and just basically shot a short film every year, and had the whole cast come back every time. Like, this is a cool.
I remember, not that I don't like Red Letter Media that much. I don't really, but I remember their Boyhood review.
Oh, I gotta watch it. I'm a fan of Red Letter Media. Yeah,
they're too cynical for me now. Like, I'm just like, guys, you hate everything.
I don't like cynicism in general, but if they're funny enough,
they're funny. I never would say they aren't. They're totally funny. But their Boyhood review, I'll never forget, was like they cut together a bunch of different reviews of the movie of people saying it took 12 years to make. Because their point was they hated the movie, but they were like, but it did take 12 years to make. And that they were trying to point out that was obviously the only reason it had any fucking publicity is because it took 12 years to make.
Yeah.
Like, as a movie, it's more it's experimental. It's not.
It is. I remember being bored by it halfway through.
Yeah, see, exactly. Yeah,
Is this disjointed? It's hard to wonder where you're going to take a story. It's not like he had it all written down originally. I'm guessing, but it is disjointed and experimental.
Like, would have been better as maybe a documentary.
Yeah, just on
just
that
film a
actor.
Kid. Just film a kid.
Oh yeah, like the 7-Up series. You ever heard of that?
No, I haven't.
Holy shit. Okay.
Like the soda? I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. This is a little sidebar, okay?
Yeah,
I'm just going to put this to you and to anybody listening. This is in 1964. This documentary filmmaker named Michael Apted, interviewed like a bunch of British children from different social classes, upper class, middle class in Liverpool, lower class and wherever. And they were all 7 years old, and asked them just questions like, what's your life like? What do you want to be? You think you're going to get married and all this stuff? Returned 7 years later and interviewed them again at 14. Returned 7 years later and interviewed them again at 21. Continued to do this 28, 35, 42, 49, 56. He's still doing it. And I don't know whether to watch the latest one or watch them all back to back, because they reuse so much footage. And it just gets more and more complicated, presumably, to edit in stuff that makes sense and have context make sense to someone who's just watching the latest one for the first time. But it's fascinating. And his theory was that your social class would determine what would happen in your life. But then it became something else entirely, which is just you're watching people's lives and fast forward.
I mean, how could it not become something else? Because, like, as a creative, I mean, it's a documentary project, but as a creative, 7 years is a hell of a long time, and that many sections every 7 years, I got to imagine his mind just goes to a different point that he's pulling out of this. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. He had so much time to gestate every single gap. Where he's just like, what does this mean again? I think it actually means.
That's true. You know, to let it sit for a while.
Yeah, because 7 years is a long ass time.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty awesome. How have I never heard of that? Okay, I'm living under a rock. That was your number 6?
6? Yeah, I think number 6.
I stay in the same territory. Okay. My number 6 is a weird one, but I think it fits. Clifford.
Well, let me guess. Oh, okay, Clifford. I was going to guess what it was. Clifford.
Would you have gotten to Clifford?
No, I wasn't going to guess that. I had another guess.
I realized the argument could be made that he is not his son. But
to clarify, you're talking about the one with Martin Short.
Oh, yes. I'm not talking about the dog. I am talking about Martin Short completely 100%.
Yeah.
Like I said, you can argue that he is not his son, but I feel like the movie is an absurdist take on, like, a new parent, if there is one, right? A guy that doesn't want to be a parent, that is thrown into parenting and given literally, like, you know, a kid who is, by all intents and purposes, almost the kid from The Omen, just without the demons, right? I mean, that's what it is. Also, his actual parents at the beginning are so awful because they hate their child.
I've never seen this all the way through, by the way. I've only seen clips.
What? You got to see the whole movie, man.
Yeah. I definitely got to watch it now.
Knowing your taste, you have to watch. It's a masterpiece.
Okay.
It's you know how I know that? Because it came out, everyone hated it, and now there's so many people that truly love it because they realize how fucking funny it is.
Okay.
It's Martin Short playing a child. It's weird. It's like a 45-year-old man playing a kid with Charles Grodin as his uncle. It's fucking weird. And then the ending is all fucking dark. It's like, it's genius.
All right, I'm in.
I mean, it's a comedy masterpiece, but it's also about a reluctant parent, in my opinion. That's why it's on my list. And also because I find it fucking hilarious. It's just...
All right.
I couldn't not. I just couldn't not. My God, you got to watch that. Okay. You'll love it. If you don't, I don't know you.
Okay.
Just block me on everything if you hate it.
All right.
You're number 5.
Number 5, I put Lady Bird.
That's good.
Because the heavy focus on the relationship between her and her mother. And I guess it stuck out to me. And I thought that movie was fucking hilarious. But, like, there are moments in that movie that I relate to, like when her mother's dropping her off at the airport and she's going off to live somewhere else. Like, I experienced that with my parents. And so there's a little bit of something I relate to there. Not necessarily all the dysfunction, but I thought it was a really good, you know, I don't know anything about it personally, but just a great examination of a tense mother-daughter relationship and the growing pains of that. Like, it's just really well done. I just really like it.
Also, just like, I feel like that movie was when I got to say, like, hey, this person I really admired from my childhood finally got their like acting due. From Roseanne. I was like, I feel like that was finally her prestigious moment.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Like, not that she hasn't always done good work, but it was like Lady Bird is what I felt like people were finally giving it. Like, saying, okay, we all recognize that she's like incredible. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. My number 5, now I put it at number 5 because I felt like that's the turning point of any list of a 10. Mm-hmm. It's the most obvious answer you could give for this. Okay. So I can let you guess if you want, because if I say that, there should be one movie that comes to mind.
Parenthood.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Parenthood, right?
It's Parenthood. I put that as my number 1, actually.
Okay, so this is our first crossover.
This is my first crossover, and I put it there because it was like it was fully about parenting.
Yeah.
There are so many because I had grown up watching it, and now rewatching it recently, like I did like a couple of years ago. There are now things that I understand more because I've experienced them. And I forget what comedian said this, but like it lines up with a moment of the movie in the beginning of Parenthood where Steve Martin, he's the Randy Newman song starts playing over the credits, and he's got his 3 kids and they're all piling into the van. They're all jumping all over the place. And he gets them all in the van and he like closes the door and he like takes a breath. And I forget what comedian said it, but it was like, yeah, our vacation is going to Disney World. My vacation is the time I get to spend closing the door to the van and then walking around to the driver's side of the van. And it was like, that's so true. There are little vacation moments I find in my life right now. Like, I love taking a shit. It's like, I lock the door. Shayna, can you watch him for a few minutes? And it's like, and it's not to say there's not. I mean,
all canceling aside, that's a great Louis C.K. bit.
Oh, that's it. Was that his bit?
That was his bit. Yeah, about how like he just loves taking a shit because it's all the only science he gets. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah,
and there's just so much I love about that movie. I mean, it really does look at every stage of like he's got a toddler. Well, whatever. Doesn't really enter into it too much. He's got his 7 to 8 year old son. He was the kid in The Witches, actually, from what I remember.
Yeah, he is. And, it's got, it's got an early Keanu role, early Joaquin Phoenix role.
Yeah.
Dude, when I used to watch that as a kid, I didn't understand it. I used to watch that movie all the time.
I didn't understand it either.
I didn't get any of it. Like, I'll never forget when Joaquin Phoenix, am I saying that right? Joaquin Phoenix, when he drops the paper, when she like looks in the paper bag and it's all those movies.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was a kid or our TV was too small, but I didn't read the titles on the actual VHS tapes.
Yeah.
I was like, he had like Back to the Future and shit, and I was like, what's wrong with him having Back to the Future on VHS? I remember not getting it. And then one day when I got older and I watched it in HD, I was like, oh, they're porn. And he's beating his meat. Okay. I didn't like the conversation that Keanu has with him didn't register to me because they're kind of like prancing around the subject. And if you're too young, you don't know what masturbating is really. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't get it. I didn't understand what a diaphragm was when they have that. Rick Moranis has that conversation with his wife. I was like, it meant nothing to me. I just knew that Steve Martin was in it, the funny man, and Rick Moranis, and that was it. It was just a movie. It was only cable all the time.
Yeah.
It's really good. I mean, it's as I grow old, I don't have kids, but it means so much more to me now.
Oh, completely. And there are, again, like any movie that has elements of parenting in it, there are moments that I continue to relate to. I'll think back on these movies after I have an experience with Noel. Like there's a scene in Parenthood where Steve Martin, when he's like, he just wants his fucking kid to catch the baseball in the Little League. goes, just catch the ball, just catch the ball. And he fantasizes about his kid. He caught the ball. And then years later, he's graduating from college. And he's like, my father who had me play Little League, and I caught that ball, and now I'm successful. And then he misses the ball. And then he envisions, which scene that wouldn't go off very well nowadays. He envisions that his son is like a shooter on a clock tower. He's just like sniping people.
I mean, the scene is supposed to be negative.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like if they were glorifying that, but yeah, you're right.
Oh no, for sure. I know, I'm with you. I just I think that I think
it might be in poor taste.
Yeah, but like
to do it. Yeah,
but I've had that thought of like, God, has this thing that I've done, this decision I've made in disciplining him, or something I didn't do or something I did do, has this planted a kernel of something that will ruin his life? Just the ripples of time that go on, and it can all be traced back to this one thing?
Also, like,
you know,
in that movie too, like what you said with the catch the ball thing, I feel like there's a palpable, like, I mean, we don't see Steve Martin as a kid or even in high school, but there's a thing like he doesn't want his kid to be the nerd or the loser or the one that everyone makes fun of. Like, and the kid obviously has anxiety issues and everything. Like, he just wants his kid to, like, I don't know, be normal, and he just isn't, you know? And that struggle of accepting him is obviously on screen.
Yeah.
It's like the nuance of it.
And it's like wanting your son to, like, the struggle of wanting to intervene when your child's doing something versus sitting back and hoping he figures it out and hoping he does it well and hoping that it builds confidence, and that something as simple as, for months, my son Noel couldn't climb up this monkey bar triangle thing that we have, and I would try to help him sometimes, and then he finally, like, started to do it the other day, and I'm like, Shayna, look, he's fucking doing it. And then he did it, and we just sit back and we don't say anything because we're trying to play it cool. And then he does it, and we, like, praise the shit out of him. It's like something small like that, like, yes, fuck.
Positive reinforcement, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So there's
good
probably
job,
so much. Yeah, man. There's probably so much more to dig into with parenthood, but I can't. We could talk about it for hours.
For me, I'll say this as once again a childless, godless heathen. The part in Parenthood that speaks to me most is, I think, Diane Wiest embracing Keanu. When she emotionally embraces him, like, she accepts it.
Yeah,
that speaks to me a little more, and that's probably maybe because of my own experience. You know what I mean? Like, you know, not that I don't like the other stuff. It's just, maybe that, I don't know, that's less about, like, your genetic child, more so that it's about two, like, disparate characters coming together, and, like, a mom accepting a son-in-law, pretty much. Yeah. Like, so beautiful. I love that storyline, but all of it's great, and it obviously is very personal for Ron Howard back then, I assume. Like, I wonder if Bryce Dallas Howard watches that movie and she's like, this is sort of about me.
It's interesting. I haven't looked into sort of behind the scenes stuff about it. So
I haven't. I'm just asking I wonder if she, like, watches the movie her father made about parenthood, and like, hey, I can see the reflection of who the guy that raised me was in this movie, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Yeah. Like, it has to be there a little bit. I don't know.
It's got to be.
So that was your number DNA. One.
That
went right to your number one. All right. That was my number 5. So you said your number 5.
Yeah.
We are on to number 4. Your number 4.
My number 4, I put Inside Out.
That's good. Wait. Like, oh, you mean the Pixar movie?
Were you thinking Inner Space?
No, I don't know what I was thinking, but I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen Inside Out? Well,
I haven't. I'm really behind on Pixar movies, not because I hate them or anything. I just am.
Yeah. I'm just a huge Pixar fan. Like, there are several movies where I'll just sob crying watching, and this is one of them. I started to watch Inside Out recently, and I couldn't finish it. I was like, it's too emotional for me right now. I had to stop it. So, I mean, what it I can't imagine writing a more perfect script.
Mm-hmm.
What they do, I mean, the drama that unfolds, just the subtle drama that unfolds with a little girl moving to a new neighborhood, going to a new school, and how the emotions play in her head. So you haven't seen the movie. So what happens? She has the 5 emotions. She's got happy, joy, sadness, anxiety, fear, anger, and disgust.
They stole it from Herman's Head. I used to watch Herman's Head as a kid. If you remember
Herman's Head?
Oh, you don't remember Herman's Head? It was where the guy, it was like a normal dude who like worked in an office, but they would show him in normal situations, and then we cut to the inside of his brain, and one was his like slovenly horniness, and one was like his like pretentiousness, and one was like his smarts, and one was like it was 4 actors. They were inside of his brain, and when that movie came out, people were adding that to the list of like, how Cars is Doc Hollywood.
No.
Inside Cars is Doc Hollywood. It's the same plot.
Okay.
It literally is the same plot as Doc Hollywood. But yeah, like I remember that was on the list of like Inside Out is just Herman's Head. It's not a quality accusation. It's like I have no doubt Inside Out is like a masterpiece of a script because it's Pixar and they just don't fuck around, you know. But anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I remember that accusation that it was like it's fucking Herman's Head. Look up like the intro to Herman's Head. It's
all right.
Pretty a weird ass sitcom. Not right now, but
no, I know. I'm just typing it like a note to look
remember.
Later.
Okay, yeah, it's like weird.
So like she has all these. So in her head, there are all these memories that are represented as these spheres. When she has a new experience, a little sphere gets shot out of a hole and gets lined up and stacked up with all the other memories, and most of the memories are bright and yellow because they're joy memories. And then there's some sadness memories and a few disgust and a few fear and some anger. And then when she moves to a new place and she has like a rough first day of school, at the same time in her head, she has this memory that it's like a core memory, a really valuable memory of her learning to ice skate with her dad and her parents where they used to live. And it was always this beautiful, happy memory. So then she moves to this new neighborhood, goes to this new school, has a bad first day. And in her head at the same time, sadness goes over to the core memory and touches it. And the core memory turns blue. And she thinks back on that memory. It's not a happy memory anymore. It's sad because they're not at that place anymore. That was part of our old life. And now it's hard to look at anything with joy anymore. And joy and sadness get lost and go on an adventure, whatever, into her head to try and save memories. And then you got fear, anger, and disgust are the only emotions that are controlling her. Yeah. And it's basically, I mean, everything with the parenting is amazing, and how they help her through it and how they realize what's wrong. But I think I actually like it more because it's a great movie about depression, because I've been depressed before, like, and it's, you get into a headspace where you don't see things the way they should be seen. You're getting intrusive thoughts, you're not thinking clearly, really. It's like this chemical imbalance, and you see things that used to be joyous. You see them as just horrible experiences, and that just makes me sad now. And it's this, and then in the end of the movie, I guess, spoiler alert, this doesn't give everything away, but in the end, the memories are no longer strictly just yellow, just blue, just purple. Every sphere is a mixture of all these emotions, and it's sort of about her growing up and learning to deal with these different emotions, and learning that an experience can be multiple feelings at once.
Yeah, it's all just not black and white.
It's like, it's so fucking beautiful. And the way they're able to...
I should have watched it. I saw The Good Dinosaur. Which I liked. I really like Good Dinosaur.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, that's like the one that's kind of a black sheep of Pixar. But yeah, I have no doubt. On my script podcast, like we did The Incredibles, and on there we talked about like their Pixar's 21 rules of writing, which is kind of their unofficial like kind of crib notes for how they write their scripts, and it's just like
interesting.
It's amazing.
Okay.
You know? Yeah, the process the scripts go through is almost as much as the animation. You know, that's why they all just work. I don't know about like Cars 2 and 3, but you know, I'm sure they're fine. Yeah, but I'll watch it. I don't know why I haven't. That was your number 4?
Yeah. All right. So your number 4 is, can I guess? Is it a weird one?
Well, you've noticed a pattern. There's only 2 genres apparently on my list. It's been obviously horror and like wacky ass comedy.
I'll be shocked if Freddy Got Fingered isn't on your list.
It's not. It's on my honorable mentions.
Okay.
Look, I had to. I will get to that. Why it's not, because I think I had to go for another one. But yes, Freddy Got Fingered, of course. Of course. I'm wearing a hat that was signed by Tom Green, of course.
Oh, there you go.
Now, my number 4 is a horror film.
Okay.
It is a very famous horror film.
Is it The Babadook?
It is a very famous 70s horror film.
Oh. Exorcist?
Yep. It is The Exorcist. And why is that my number 4? Well, once again, it seems that my mind went to parents who truly love their kid and go through literal hell to save them.
Yeah, yeah. And
really, I only have one more example of this on my list, but The Exorcist is pretty damn bad. You know, like that what that mom has to go through.
Yeah.
To do it. And I also find it interesting because, like, it's an example of a parent, your child's sick, and she's helpless to know what, like, you remove the religion of it all, and it's just like a child that has some kind of terminal illness or something, and you have no clue. You're at the mercy of she's at the mercy of these priests, just like you'd be at anyone would be at the mercy of a hospital, or you know what I mean? Like, it's a scary fucking situation, no matter how you cut it. Like, you can remove the demon, and it's still a totally terrifying situation. Yeah, it's all true. About, and if you remove the demon, the situation is truly about parenting, because that it is all about the mom. Because Reagan, she's gone for most of the movie. Like, she's not there, right? Like, it's just the emotions we see. The family bonding is mostly the mom. So
that's a good one,
right? It just like. And also the father's relationship with his mother. I mean, the demon uses motherhood to taunt him. Like, that's one of the main things it uses. Like, you are not my mother. Like,
your mother sucks cocks in hell.
Right? Yeah, right. So the theme is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good pull. I got to rewatch it now with that perspective in mind, because it is truly like worse than any horror you could imagine, any literal hell you could imagine. The worst thing is if Noel had some terminal illness. Like, there's nothing worse.
I didn't want to make you think of that. I apologize.
No.
Yeah,
But like, I've also and I've thought about it. It's so interesting how like the parenting instincts sort of kick in, and you're like, I will fucking you gain so much confidence when it's all behind, I will protect my fucking kid.
Yeah.
Like, I used to think, would I take a bullet for a child if I had a child? And now it's like, no fucking question, I would. It's just an instinctual like, Argh! So yeah, now I want to rewatch The Exorcist.
Like, the amount of times my own mother has been like, I would like die for you. And I'm like, chill out, mom. Nothing's happening. She's saying it in conversation. I'm like, okay, I appreciate it, but let's save that for when it shows up, which I don't know if it ever will. If I need a kidney or some shit, maybe, but I have no fucking clue.
Let's cross that bridge.
But I believe her.
Yeah.
I totally believe her. She's like, I would give my life for anything. I gotta imagine most parents feel the same.
Mhm.
So but I'm selfish. So I just got me. I would die for me.
That's
But yeah, so that's why it's on my list. It's kind of a dark choice, but
that's a good one.
it is a dark choice. But yeah, your number 3.
Sophie's Choice. No, I'm just kidding. Kramer versus Kramer.
Oh man,
that's it. And
so I haven't seen it since mid 90s, and I was a kid.
I haven't seen it. It's been at least 15 years since I've seen it. And now I was just thinking about it and how much it does a really good job at putting you in the shoes of a parent without it. I think it probably does one of the best jobs in putting you in the shoes of a struggling parent, and you not being a parent, having like feeling those feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think now because it's been so long since I've seen it. The things that
when he busts through the door and he's like, Jerry. Levels, Jerry. Levels. I'm such a hack fucking joke. I apologize, everybody. It's so obvious. I'm pretty sure that's a Photoshop on the internet like 10 times over.
It's gotta be. But like the things that stick out of my mind, I mean, like there's a lot of negative shit in there. I mean, obviously, so you got Dustin Hoffman, Meryl Streep going through a divorce, and he's living with his kid for the first time, like alone and having to figure things out. And there's a lot of, I just remember there being a lot of real subtle, like cathartic things that happen where, he starts out the first day and he can't make his kid breakfast. And there's eggs fucking everywhere. He goes, well, what do you eat? Did your mother keep it? I don't have anything. And then they go through all this shit and they fight and they bond. And then like near the end of the movie, it's like the same shot of the kitchen and they've got like the system down. And it's like, they're not even talking. They're just like eggs. There you go. That's how you like them. Cheese. It's like just the intimacy of that is really cool.
That's pretty awesome.
And then I remember feeling the real fear of when he takes his eyes off his son for just a minute at the playground, talking to, I think he's probably flirting with somebody. And then his kid falls and like breaks his arm and screams. And he scoops him up and he just like runs full speed to a hospital. And it's like, even, I was 16 at the time, probably when I watched that movie. And I just remember feeling, oh my God, get to the fucking hospital. Like that's
my most vivid memory of the movie is that scene.
Yeah. I think, that stuck out for me too. It's really shocking and horrifying and powerful.
That's a good choice. I didn't even think of that one. So good job. But then again, I haven't seen that in 25 years. So
yeah,
it's not on the top of my brain, but I do love, I mean, what a cast.
Yeah.
That's like peak powers for Hoffman and Streep, right?
Mm-hmm. So number 3. My
number 3 is the reason Freddy Got Fingered isn't on this list. The fact, I'm glad that you mentioned it because like I had thought about it, but I decided there's 2 reasons. I decided to go broad here because it's not the same. Nothing is the same as Freddy Got Fingered. Nothing. But the reason I chose this was because I'm the same age as the characters in question. And while it is a wacky comedy, much like Freddy Got Fingered, I feel that this is more about parenting, whereas Freddy Got Fingered is, I know it's weird to separate them, but Freddy Got Fingered is more about like fatherhood specifically.
Okay.
Because that, I don't know, it's for some reason I separated those in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Step Brothers.
All right.
Because I say that I chose Step Brothers maybe more so because like I said, I'm 39. They're 39 and 40 in the movie. They live with their parents. I don't live with my parents, but I just did during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you bubbled with
I bubbled with my mom to make sure she was okay. And that movie, as stupid as it is and as silly as it is, speaks to me more now.
Really?
Yeah, because like these are guys that like my life during the pandemic was what those guys did. They got up, they did literally nothing. They ate the food that was already in the fridge, and and their parents were constantly working all day, and I was just stuck there. Like that was my life. So in a weird way, I found some odd comfort and catharsis and pathos from fucking Step Brothers now. That's
great.
That I never thought I would, because I moved in with my mom at 37, because of a pandemic. But still, that's the reason I chose that. Also, I guess you could argue that it is an example of bad parenting.
Yeah, sure.
Like they didn't make them move out sooner, and they just let them linger there. Like the story of what Step Brothers was, like the prequel story, is really funny too. Just thinking about all the years they spent leading up to that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, what crystallized them into these idiots?
Into these idiots that are still living at home, are completely arrogant. Like they have no shame. They have no shame in their situation whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And they're just like completely arrogant assholes.
I love it.
Yeah. So and I guess I'm admitting I'm kind of an arrogant asshole, but I just felt like I feel a weird like Freddy Got Fingered. I prefer it. It's more me. I could talk about that movie in different ways, but in this list, I feel like Step Brothers speaks to me more. Mm-hmm. That's all.
Yep.
That's the reason. That's the reason. I felt like I couldn't have both. I felt like they were kind of competing in my mind for a slot. So yeah. That's the reason.
I like it.
We're down to number 2, even though your number 1 has already been done.
Yeah.
So this is basically your last list.
Yeah.
Pick. So you're number 2.
This one, I mean, we can make up our rules here. I didn't know if this counted, but it was a stand-up special.
Anything counts.
All right, cool. This one is Mike Birbiglia, the new one. So, are you familiar with Mike Birbiglia?
I am. I haven't seen the new one though.
All right, so this one, I've been a fan of his for a while. He's just a great natural storyteller, comedian. He's
director, right?
Director. I think he directed that movie that was based on his life, which was Sleepwalk with Me. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Right.
Or maybe it was.
Who am I thinking of?
Mike Birbiglia.
Or am I thinking of Bo Burnham? I'm probably thinking.
Oh, you're thinking of probably Bo Burnham. But so this guy, I mean, he's like Bill Cosby, but without the
without the bad stuff.
Without the bad stuff, he's able to just tell a story and weave in and out, and it can be a little dramatic, and it doesn't feel cheesy or anything. And he's extremely funny. So this whole stand-up special was about him accepting the idea of being a father. And he had all these. He was with his girlfriend, and she wanted to have a baby. And he lists all these reasons why he shouldn't be a father. One of which is he has this bizarre genetic sleep disorder where he can't. He'll sleepwalk, and he has a special bag that his wife zips him up in at night so he can't get out of the bed. And it's insane he's worried about passing that on to his kid, and he goes through all these reasons why he shouldn't, and then he lays that out for his wife. His wife's like, but I think you'd be a really good father. He's like, fuck. So then he decides to have a kid, and it's just a great little insightful special. I watched it when Noel was still an infant, and it really connected with me. And he does this really funny thing about halfway through where he gets to the point where his daughter's a toddler, and then out of nowhere, a mountain of hundreds of toys and stuffed animals just falls from the ceiling of the stage onto the floor of the stage. And it's just, then he's stepping around. It's this is his life now. And he's this fucking thing that his grandmother got her. And this is her favorite stuffed animal here. And this is this truck. She won't go to sleep without it. And he introduces the chaos that started when she became a toddler. There's just a lot to love about it. I think I'd like to rewatch it.
That's cool. I'll definitely, I love stand-ups, so I'll definitely watch it. Also, stand-up specials in the past have counted as films, so I think it counts.
Yeah, I think that counts for sure.
Eddie Murphy's Delirious is a movie, right? People count that as a movie, so why can't most specials that are filmed I guess. Yeah, that
Yeah.
counts.
Cool.
Good. That's good. My number 2 is higher on the list than The Exorcist because, I mean, you could argue it deals in the same things, but should be pretty obvious what it is. But it's Poltergeist.
Mm-hmm.
Where
the lengths they will go to save
once
their
again, it's the lengths they'll go to save a kid. Also, I feel like while The Exorcist does have is about the mom, I feel Poltergeist does a better job at showing the pain on the parent, especially the mother's face and her emotion of missing her child and feeling that hurt of it's almost like Lovecraftian fear of what happened to your child. Like, whereas The Exorcist, at least she's getting to see her child mangled in a bed doing crazy shit. But in Poltergeist, her kid is in another dimension talking to her, and it's almost like this Lovecraftian fear of what the fuck is my child experiencing right now? I can't even at least in The Exorcist, you're kind of getting there's something to hold on to, you know what I mean? But
you understand that there's a demon and that Reagan's in there somewhere.
And she right, but in Poltergeist, they have no clue. When Zelda, what's her name? What's the little woman?
I know what you're talking about.
I'm forgetting her name. Why did I forget her name? When she's when she's talking to her and she's saying she sees the people and she sees the light, and as I watch it when I'm older, I'm as a parent, you're listening to your child in another dimension screaming that she's seeing these things, and that has got to be otherworldly type of fear that you can't even imagine. You're not there, you're not in the room with her, you're you're literally separated by metaphysics or something. I don't even know. It's just unthinkable. And the lengths to what she go to, walking into that door is what's hiring priests is one thing. But walking into that door after what you've witnessed, that's it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, that's a great. Oh man,
what else? What is scarier than walking into that door? I can't know.
Oh yeah, it's it's like how there are. Orson Scott Card had this quote about the 3 different kinds of fear, and it's the lowest form is horror, where it's gore and
and stuff. Yeah,
and then there's terror, which is
active fear. It's actively happening. We talk about this on my script podcast.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And then dread.
Dread. Yeah. When you know something's coming, but you don't know what it is. You don't know what form it takes. And that's, yeah. And if
Poltergeist is dread. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of dread. There's some terror in there.
Yeah.
There's a tiny bit of gore. But the dread from a parent's perspective is just excruciating.
Yeah, that's primal.
It's primal.
Yeah.
And it's unthinkable because, once again, where the hell is my daughter? What is she experiencing? What are these things that want her, and what do they want to do with her? You know what I mean? There's no fucking human thought that can comprehend what is happening.
Yeah.
Her flesh is transferred into another dimension, and yet she's still in the house as a ghost. What the fuck? I don't know. If you really think about Poltergeist, it's truly nuts. Not only is it just one of the best movies ever fucking made, but it's truly nuts. Her physical body is in another dimension that transferred with flesh, and it's still there.
And she still has the ability to speak in some way.
Right.
How is she speaking?
And it only comes through the TV, you know? When they leave the TV on just to hear the static, it's sweet. There's something that's so sweet about it. The only thing we have is the sound of a static TV to remind us that our daughter might be alive. So
wow.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. That speaks to me as far as parenting is concerned. I mean, not to mention the obvious that she goes into the door and pulls her, kid out from wherever the fuck.
Yeah.
We kind of saw it in the sequel, but discounting that. They come out covered in that strawberry jam. Yeah. So Poltergeist, I mean, and I just love it. I also, it's like, just to be honest, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's that perfect mix of Spielbergian sentiment and Tobe Hooper horror, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to get into who actually directed it, but I mean, it's got flavors of both, and that's why it's perfect, because it just mixes them perfectly. Yeah. So, you know, yeah. So,
all right.
Poltergeist.
Your
number one. Your number one was Parenthood.
Yeah.
And my number one, and this was actually hasn't changed, because it came to me first, and I was like, fuck it. I was like, that's just such a good answer. It was Raising Arizona.
Yeah. That's a great answer.
I was just like, when it came, that was like the first thing that popped into my head, and I was like, that has to be number one. Like, it's just, you know, and also it goes with my theme. I think I consider Raising Arizona, it's a masterpiece, but it's also a wacky comedy, right? I mean, it totally counts.
Yeah.
But I mean, and that's, I mean, it's about parenting, but it's also about, like, I guess wanting to be a parent more than it is almost parenting, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, because you could argue both. Like, they do have the kid, but did they learn anything about parenting? I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe they loved the idea of parenting more, like the image of a child.
Yes,
the idea.
Yeah. Like, just the idea of having that love, but they have no clue what to fucking do with it. I also like that it transfers to, like, William Forsythe and John Goodman. Like, the movie's so nuts, it, like, has them wanting to be dads for a moment, you know? And then they're so bad at what they do, they leave the kid on top of the car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just, it popped into my head, and I was like, it has to be number one.
Yeah.
It just had to be. You know, it's a perfect movie. I love it. And I don't know. It's Nick Cage stealing diapers. Right? I mean, that's parenting right there. Yeah.
That's great. It's been a long time since I've seen it, actually.
So you got to rewatch it. Yeah.
I'm only remembering some of what you're bringing up, but now, if that's your number one parenting movie, I'm watching it.
You have to watch it. Yeah, the third act is truly insane. Like, Nick Cage trying to save his not child from, like, a Mad Max level bounty hunter. You just got, it's fucking great, man.
Awesome.
Also, it's Edgar Wright's favorite film.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He told me that in person when I met him. I asked him his favorite movie. He said Raising Arizona without hesitation.
Nice. It's good to have that answer at the top of your head, ready to go.
Yeah. I wonder if it's changed. And that was during the premiere of Hot Fuzz. So,
okay.
I wonder if he would still say Raising Arizona.
He's had some years to think about it. Become a new person.
Yeah. And now he'd be like, oh, Freddie got fingered.
Yeah, for sure.
God, I wish. That'd be hilarious. Okay. So I don't have any way to do this, but we got a bunch of honorable mentions, right?
Yeah. I think I've got like 7, and you've got...
I got like 15.
Yeah.
But I was just spitting shit out.
Yeah, same here. Like, do you want to go first and go through your honorable mentions?
I'll just, should we just, like, go through, I'll just name all of them, and then...
Yeah, sure.
We can, if you want to talk about any of them.
Yeah.
The Omen, obvious.
Yeah.
That's I feel like you can't have, I didn't want The Exorcist and The Omen on the same list. That feels kind of similar territory of, like, something is in my child.
And that's like, I remember when I watched that for the first time, and how terrifying it was, because the kid is actually, you know, he's a kid.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's what made that scarier to me than, like, any other creepy child movie was that he wasn't just, like, always staring down the lens of the camera and just completely evil from, like, I'm just pure evil. Like, he was an actual child who then just started feeling this evil inside him. It's almost like a Christ story of, you're the son of God, and you're still going through the growing pains of being a child, and maybe you're talking to God in some way, and you're learning to accept the fact that you're part of this huge cosmic thing. But the antithesis of that,
yeah,
and how creepy that is, and
I've been meaning to do a watch of the sequels.
Oh, I went through all of them at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, just because, I mean, number one, Sam Neill.
Sam Neill. Fuck, dude.
Sam Neill, but I just never got around to them, so I really want to do that. Another one, this is a weird one, Baby Boom.
Never heard of it.
Diane Keaton. It's a 1980s comedy where it's like a working woman gets a kid.
Oh.
Next, Karate Kid.
That's a good one.
Now, you could argue, I'm not talking about the mom. I feel like it's an obvious thing to say Mr. Miyagi is a father figure.
For sure.
Right? Surrogate father figure.
Father figure, yeah.
I was like, in my mind, I was like, what's a surrogate father figure? Mr. Miyagi. 100%. All right, you give me some, and then I'll give you some more.
Okay, I put Brave, another Pixar movie.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Good mother-daughter relationship story.
Brave is a baffling movie to me because I love it. But, man, the movie advertised was not the movie we got, in my opinion.
Not at all.
I had no clue the movie was going to be about her mom turning into a bear. When that happened, I was like, is this the plot? This keeps going? Like, it's the whole thing is about her mom being a bear?
Yeah, that was baffling too. I agree.
Okay.
The Bad Seed. You ever watched The Bad Seed?
Oh, yeah, that's good.
It's not, I guess it's sort of about parenting. It's the idea of like, is your child born evil, or are they born good? Are they born with a clean slate and you just put whatever shit you can on them? But yeah, that was a nice, effective thriller. I got a warm place in my heart for that movie.
That and The Omen and stuff that fits in that, like our fear of children.
Yeah.
Like Children of the Corn, or, like stuff like that. Just like our natural, like weird fear of children.
Yeah, creepy children.
Creepy children is a whole thing, yeah. It's their innocence that seems scary.
Yeah. I put here The Squid and the Whale, too. It's like one of my favorite movies. Just a great little portrayal of, battling parents and kids and siding with the mother and the father, and examples of horrible parenting. And it's a good little clusterfuck.
It's good.
I put on Eighth Grade, Bo Burnham's Eighth Grade.
That's a great movie.
I fucking love that movie. And it was more about, it's about her trying to come out of her shell and be confident and find her place. But the whole parenting arc with her and her father was beautiful.
Yeah, the father is such a good character in that movie.
For sure. Is. All right, you got some more?
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Been a long time since I mixed them up. I mixed the Marvel movies up in my head.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is it's all about his father.
Oh, that's right.
It's all about Kurt Russell being a bad, pretty much. I mean, he learns in the movie. He learns his father killed his mother, right. And then he's
like a god, right?
His father's like, well, he's a planet, a living planet.
Oh, that's right.
But he ends up learning that his actual father was Michael Rooker. I felt like that was a good theme for me. I was like, that counts. Remember, okay, next one. Remember, I'm just spitting these out. This was why it's an honorable mentions. I don't even know. I don't know why I feel the need to defend it, but Big Daddy.
I put that down too as an honorable mention. Yeah.
Look, I like Big Daddy. I'm not gonna lie.
Dude, me too.
It's enjoyable. Yeah. And the next one, I already said it on this podcast, but 3 Men and a Baby. Duh.
Yeah. 3 Men and a Baby.
You probably could throw 3 Men and a Little Lady on there too if you want, but
didn't even know that one existed.
That totally exists. Yeah, go ahead. You go for some.
I put Matilda on here because there's a little bit of because my mom loves that movie, because what Matilda went through was like so similar to her childhood. It just reminds me of my mom telling me stories of her childhood, where she grew up in, this one house with 3 other sisters, and her mother, my grandmother, she was a legit crazy person, and to this day is still a little nutty. And she related so much to that movie because like she would actually go walking by herself 8 years old to the library, going across the street to read. It's not like her parents weren't as cartoony as Matilda's parents, but so I like that movie because it reminds me of the stories my mother would tell about her childhood.
Cool. Also, I always felt Matilda did the Harry Potter's family better than Harry Potter ever did.
Yeah.
Like that dynamic in that movie is better than the dynamic in those movies with Harry Potter and his surrogate family. To me, I think it just conveys that.
Well, it also has that little bit of catharsis that you didn't have with Harry Potter's parents. Like in the end, when the best thing they ever did for their daughter was sign the adoption papers, and their mother's like, "You're the only daughter I ever had, Matilda, and I never understood you, not one little bit." You know, and it's like this.
Like
this
they're not malicious.
Loving,
they're not malicious. They just don't understand.
Yeah, and it's like it was this real loving moment. The kind of in the end, it's interesting.
Yeah. Or do you want me to give some?
Yeah, sure. I only got 2 left. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got too many. So I don't really want to talk. We don't have to talk about these. Look Who's Talking. Duh.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's about parenting.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one. Little Shop of Horrors.
That is my second favorite movie of all time.
Well, I mean, I love it too.
Yeah.
But I was like, you could argue that there is an element of like parenthood with like Seymour and Audrey too. Yeah. And it's like, what if your child grows up to be a monster? Then just reskin it with, what if my child is also an alien plant?
Yeah.
And he grows up to be a monster within like 2 weeks. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And like the idea,
like he's bleeding for his own kid, you know?
Exactly. He's like giving elements of his own soul and body to this thing that is becoming increasingly malevolent.
Yeah, and you could argue that there's like an element of the scary kids thing in Little Shop. Like the kids like, you know, kill for me. You know, like asking its own parent to kill. Yeah, and I'll make your life better. I'll give you everything you want. Which is sort of the surrogate for love. Yeah,
there is a little bit of that, and there's a little bit of. I will say that one of the things, and this gets into one of my honorable mentions here, is like one of the things that pushed me into that thought process of I want a family and I want to start a family, was just rewatching Little Shop of Horrors at an older age when I was in LA, and just watching the Somewhere That's Green, and watching that whole song and be like, I fucking want that. And I don't care. And it was like, and there's this stigma against, there's almost this like, you know, you're supposed to watch it and you're kind of laughing at Audrey a little bit, like, oh, she's just happy because she just wants these material things, and she's going to be happy about a toaster and a couch and everything. But then there's this real love about it because it's all part of this life that she wants. And I related to that so much. Like,
it's also like where she came from too. Like, she doesn't have those things.
Yeah.
Those things mean something when you don't have them, right? It's a privilege thing.
Yeah.
She didn't have any of that. She's not well off, and her whole life is pretty much being abused.
Yep.
You know? So yeah. That's that's good. You actually made it. I didn't even think about Somewhere That's Green. I just thought about the Seymour relationship. So that's good.
Just seeing them, you know, just snuggling in front of their snuggle,
huge, enormous 9.5-inch TV. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. No, that's good. My one after that was The Birdcage.
The Birdcage.
Everything that Robin Williams and Nathan Lane do to make their son happy. They basically, you know, they basically go against everything they believe in. They debase themselves for their kid, just because once they're convinced that their kid is truly in love with this woman, they're willing to like uproot their entire lives and go through hell. You know, not maybe poltergeist hell, but like, you know, funny, like discomforting political argument, you know, hell. But yeah, like I feel like that's good parenting. Those guys in that movie are examples of loving parents who will do anything for their kid. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Give me one from yours.
I threw this on here because I watched it recently. Mother by Bong Joon-ho. You ever seen that?
Yeah.
It's wild, man. It's
Yeah.
like, the lengths to which a mother will go to help her son. And
Right.
It's a great movie for anybody who hasn't seen it. Bong Joon-ho did Parasite. He's
And
been around for a while doing amazing things.
Snowpiercer too. Yeah.
Snowpiercer and Memories of Murder. There's some good ones.
Good stuff.
I like that one.
It's good. My next one. This might be a little bit stretchy, but it's honorable mentions.
Okay.
South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut.
All right. Now I'm thinking about it.
I mean, the driving force is obviously Eric Cartman's mom.
Okay.
Remind
me of what happened with his mom in the movie.
Well, the movie's about the Terrence and Phillip movie. It's it's what really happened. It's Terrence and Phillip the movie is so offensive that parents are like calling out Canada for making this horribly offensive movie, and then it turns into a war with Canada because Canada is corrupting our children through this fart humor. Yeah. You're Eric Cartman. You should know this. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. But I didn't put it on my main list because it's it is a lot. It's about children and us protecting children and parents. Totally, like the whole movie is about the fact that parents don't talk to their children. Instead, they just attack what they think is corrupting their children. Like obviously Trey Parker feels very strongly about that. Like you blame video games and movies and TV, and yet you don't talk to your kids. You just want to scream about how other people are corrupting them. You don't want to just talk to your damn kids and actually act like real parents.
Yep.
So while I don't think it's the parenting isn't so much on screen in South Park.
Yeah.
The intended themes are totally that. Like that's a
good read of that.
It's the movie itself is calling out bad parenting.
Yeah.
So that is why I thought of it.
I love it. I love that take.
Yeah. Yeah. You got any more?
I got one more.
Okay, I'll do a few more and then we'll do
okay,
yours.
Cool.
We don't need to talk about these that much. Nebraska,
I haven't seen it.
Okay, you should watch that.
Okay.
Kindergarten Cop.
I love Kindergarten Cop.
Kindergarten Cop, not exactly family, but I feel like the character has never involved himself with actually taking care of kids, so it feels like a learning situation with parenting.
Well, there's a great feeling that he's sort of discovered this other calling where, wow, I'm actually good with kids.
Right.
You know, that moment with Linda Hunt where she goes, I don't have any idea what kind of police officer you are, but you are a very good teacher. And it was like, wow.
Right. It's a loose one for this list, but it's good.
Yeah. I like it.
By the same token, Lean on Me.
What is it?
Lean on Me. Morgan Freeman.
I haven't seen it.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
Okay.
You should totally check that out. It's Morgan Freeman fixing up a school in a bad neighborhood. They bring Morgan Freeman in as the principal, and he straightens everybody out. And I could watch that movie. It's like on a Sunday afternoon, you put Lean on Me on, I'm watching the whole fucking thing. And that it's just that kind of a scrumptious meal.
Okay.
Him and kids, and just kids trying to make him proud. It's like fucking great.
All right.
Mom and Dad.
The
Nick Cage movie. It's a Nick Cage movie.
Oh, about kids, the parents, they all of a sudden have this rage virus.
Yeah, they want to kill other kids. I just thought it was funny to put on the list.
That's right.
Yeah. Psycho.
The
mom issues alone, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Mom issues. You could end the whole Psycho franchise pretty much. Nightmare on Elm Street. And the reason I say Nightmare on Elm Street is two reasons. One, the whole plot is based around the fact that a bunch of parents burned a guy to death to stop him from killing their kids. And it's a really complex thought to think like, well, he did start killing kids. He deserves to be burned, right?
Yeah,
but then all of a sudden, like, you didn't think about the repercussions of your own vigilantism.
Yeah,
you know? And then secondly, how nobody listens to the kids about what's actually happening. Like the parents tune them out. Like it can't
God,
be real.
that was always whenever I read a Goosebumps book, that was always one of my biggest pet peeves. Is like the parents aren't listening to the fucking kid.
Right. I think
the doll's alive.
That's a huge. I think even in just the first movie, that's a huge thing. Like they just don't believe her, and she's like, "Well, fuck it, I'm gonna do it myself," because she's kind of a badass in that movie. Yeah, I got two more, so you do your last one.
All right, so my last one I put Hook.
Okay, yeah, right. That's totally
and like this is another one. Like when I watched Little Shop of Horrors, and like I watched Somewhere That's Green, and it just kind of like clicked into me at just the right time.
Yeah.
I remember like again, I was in LA, I was depressed, and I'm wondering what to do with my life, and when am I going to start it? And I'd like a family, I don't know. And I rewatch Hook, and I get to the part where he discovers the cave of the Lost Boys, and he finds his teddy bear, and he's finding his happy thought, and he's like, I know what my happy thought is. It's like, I left Neverland because I wanted to be a father. And there's this like beautiful, genuine moment of the mother giving birth, and they're just like both like she hands the baby Jack off to his Robin Williams, and he looks down, and he's just amazed. He goes, I'm a daddy. And I remember watching that and getting hit so deeply in some deep part of me, like, holy fuck, I want that. And then there were all these different parallels. Like maybe I'm overthinking this, and like I dramatize too much of my life events like a fucking movie, but I'm thinking, holy shit, I'm in Neverland right now, and I want to go home. Like I want it, like Neverland is Hollywood, and I want to leave Neverland because I want to be a father. And it was like this kind of click moment.
Dude, that's a perfect like full circle thing for the conversation too.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, man, that's great. You also, you could two things. You could argue. You look through Spielberg's catalog, and you could argue that the latter half is very littered with parenthood themes.
Yeah,
like since he had kids too. Now I say the latter half because if you watch Close Encounters, that's made by a man without children.
Yeah.
It's so obvious that it is. Like that. That's almost, you could put it on the list because it's such a good example of bad parenting. Like it is a movie about I think what he said about it was like, he made that as a young man. And as a young man, you ask yourself questions like what are the mysteries of the universe? And that's what was most important to you, figuring it all out.
Yeah.
So the young man in him made Richard Dreyfuss get on that ship to find out the mysteries of the universe. Huh. Whereas if he said, if I made it now, he would have never gotten on the ship because you don't just leave your kids. Your kids are the most important thing in the universe. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Whatever's on that ship cannot be as important to you as kids.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is like the latter half of Spielberg's, you can see it. Like Hook was probably just when he had kids too. He's making a movie for kids. So like you see all that love there for children, the sentiment there.
Yeah.
Whereas that's not as prevalent. Like, yeah, sure, Jaws gets a kid eaten, but it does. I don't feel like it's sad, but it's not like, I don't know, beautiful. It's just not. It doesn't feel. I wouldn't think of parenting in Jaws much, even though like he doesn't want his kids go in the water and stuff, but it doesn't feel the same. Yeah,
it's more of a side thing.
It's a motivation more than it is a theme.
Yeah.
But like Hook's a great choice, and I feel like if we dug into, I'm not saying to do it, but if we dug into a lot of his movies, since he had kids, it's there.
Yeah, for sure.
Because he's such a sentimental filmmaker. That's what he's going to concentrate on is his kids. Oh, okay. Last two.
You got some more?
I got two more. Okay. Two more. I mean, Freddy Got Fingered, but I already said that. The last two. Alien 3.
Haven't seen it.
I just put it there as almost a joke because she's impregnated with an alien. And then she's like, somebody has to, she kills herself to stop becoming a mother because she knows her child will be a monster. And so is it a parenting? It's loose. It's on the honorable mentions, but it's loose because like What do you do when you know the thing coming at you is going to be a monster? You know,
like if I knew
it's a Rosemary's
that
Baby
I was going to
situation.
Oh yeah, that's true. If I knew my son was going to grow up and be Hitler, would I go through with it?
Would you kill? Yeah, would you kill your own child if you knew they would be Hitler? That's really fucked up of a question. Did you ever see the deleted scenes on Deadpool 2?
No.
There's a deleted scene of him like visiting baby Hitler when he has like a time watch.
Yeah.
And he's like going through time and at the end during the end credits, and like they cut a scene out where he's like he visits baby Hitler and he's like like he's like trying to deal with the fact he's got to kill this baby.
That's funny.
He does the whole Clark Griswold. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And my last one is a really simple meat and potatoes movie for this. I think is Liar Liar. A man who lies to his own son, learning to be a good father.
Yeah,
it's simple. Yeah, that's
simple. Good.
Simple answer.
And I find myself thinking about that movie more as a father. I mean, not with I guess a little bit with because Shayna and we both work, and there are times when I try and squeeze in a little bit of work, and I'm just letting Noel play, and then he comes to me and goes, play. I was like, oh, okay. And then I think like, not that I'm actually thinking this, but it's like, don't be Jim Carrey and Liar Liar, like I'm saying things to him that sound like Jim Carrey and Liar Liar. He goes, I just got to get this one thing taken care of. Like, fuck, cat's in the cradle.
I mean, yeah, he's a bad parent.
Yeah.
But he genuinely loves his kid.
Yeah.
So there's like the dichotomy there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I always wondered how come in that movie he doesn't become religious or something. Like, who the hell does he think is doing that? That's not really about the parenting thing, but I'm always like, it's weird sometimes when like characters don't, like if Bruce Almighty, he knows it's God.
Yeah.
But who the fuck is powering the liar liar wish? You know what I mean? Like who's behind it becoming true?
And then in the end, in like a year later, it's Max's birthday again, and they all it's kind of assumed that they all know that this incredible metaphysical thing happened, and it's just like, oh, it's like that one time where you couldn't lie. Because it's implied when it's like, did you wish for mommy and me to get back together again? Like, no.
Yeah, well, I always took it as like the mom probably like doesn't fully believe what they're talking about, but she's like, she just thinks he had a change of heart.
Yeah.
But the kid and the dad are like, no, something supernatural took place.
We're gonna take it to the grave with
right.
us.
Like, what do you do? Because I'm always like, it's like that thing where like when people tell me, like when my friends looked me in the eyes and said, I literally saw a ghost come out of the woods and try to attack us. You know what I mean? And I'm like, and my first thought in my mind was, dude, you work at a bank. I've told this story to many people, but and he's like, what the fuck does me working at a, like, he's like, what does that have to do with anything? And I'm like, well, from what you're telling me is you literally with your own senses saw proof of the ethereal plane. Does that not reorganize your entire system of life? You know what I mean? Like, you can go to work knowing ghosts are fucking 1000% real, and you're like,
and continuing to be this like conscientious type A person who counts money.
Yeah, right. Like, all your shit should crumble.
How are you still wearing a suit?
Do something with that information. Don't just be like, I saw a ghost. Well, that was great.
Moving on with my life.
It's like Dumb and Dumber. Ghosts, huh? All right. See you later. Like it's like they just doesn't deal with it at all. It's just okay. I would think the liar liar thing would be the same way. Like, you're just gonna keep going. You're not gonna spend you're not going to turn like insane, like, the gif of Charlie from It's Always Sunny with all the shit on the board. Like,
You're not
what
gonna
happened here? You
You're
know,
not going to do some traveling, talk to some different religious leaders around the world, go to Tibet and just try to think things through. I'd be
become like
fucked
Doctor
up.
Strange because that happened to you.
Like
Like, okay, if that wish shit exists, then magic fucking exists.
yes.
So I want to become a wielder of magic. You know,
I spent an entire day physically trying to say things that were somehow prevented from coming out of my mouth. I fought with my hand to write a lie. My hand fought back.
I know.
Controlling my hand.
Like every time he thinks about it, he should be like, the pen is fucking blue. Like, what did that mean? Like, that'd be an amazing sequel, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
the sequel where he's like becomes like he becomes like some kind of like crazy man who he leaves his family and he goes off to Tibet to figure out the truth of how the fuck this wish happened and how it became true.
He just ends up in an asylum and the pen is blue, is just scrawled in his own feces on the wall.
And he could find out like there's some like lineage with his wife and her genes, like where she's like the descendant of wizards or something.
Oh, she's a fucking witch.
Max has that gene in him, and he didn't know about it. Like his own son has some kind of legacy wizard,
and he uses his son to influence political elections. Like, you need to wish that Donald Trump cannot tell a lie for the next week.
It would be such a vapid sequel. Like, or you could have it like Jim Carrey's like, I got to take my own son down to stop the tyranny. Like his son, you could have like at the beginning of the movie, his son learns of his own power and starts to like kind of start to abuse it. And he's like, you know what? You're not a fucking wizard. You don't have the magic in you. You're not even my father. You know what I mean?
What?
And then have like Jim Carrey goes off to Tibet and learns how to actually wield magic too, but he doesn't have the gene, but he learns how to use it. And then have like a father-son showdown at the end of the movie. It would be like so not anything to do with what the first movie was about. All these years later, and people be like, "What the fuck did they do here?"
It's like Jim Carrey does the spell wrong, and people can only tell lies. And just turns the world into a chaotic Book of Revelations mess.
Yeah, the only thing that wizards in this universe can do is verbal spells and curses. Nothing else. There's no other like. There's not like shooting power balls and shit. Yeah. It's just like you can just make people only say things or not say things. Yeah. You know, like you can only say corn for 24 hours. You know, and that's I wish you can only say corn.
You can only
and then you know, like they can't even write anything but corn, you know. Like what?
You can't speak a sentence without talking about Steve Buscemi. You could literally do anything.
Would that mean like if somebody said like, "How are you feeling?" You have to go, "I'm feeling as good as Steve Buscemi."
Yeah.
Are Steve Buscemi feeling good? I don't know how Steve Buscemi actually feels. I'm assuming Steve Buscemi feels good. It's a fucking weird ass curse.
That's like somebody who dropped out of the academy early on, the Wizard Academy, and then just went rogue doing weird shit.
I always thought too, like in Liar Liar, he can only tell things he knows is true.
Well, see, I swear to God, I was thinking about this like 3 days ago, how he said like, I need to pee, and the judge is like, can it wait? And he's like, yes, it can. Yes, but if I don't, then I could makes it very difficult to get an erection or even become aroused. And the judge is like, is that true?
It has to be.
It has to be. Where the fuck did you pull that out from?
Also, the weird part of that is he's saying that stuff knowing he's sort of deceiving. He knows he's like giving extra information to deceive the judge into making a false decision. Based on something. So it's like arguably kind of against the rules, but it still works somehow.
Yeah, and there is. I was also thinking about it, how there is an actual lie that he tells, and I think they kind of fucked it up because Jim Carrey might have been improving a little bit. But when he tells Greta, where Greta's like, we represented, someone got their house broken in, a burglar broke in, and then he won the case. And now, is that justice? And he said, no, I'd have got him 10. Goodbye, Mr. Reed. And he starts following her, and he goes, no, wait, I didn't understand the question. Ask me again. But he did understand the question.
He said it, but he immediately, he slipped under the spell for a second, but it made it correct instantly.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
Is that, no, well, I'd have got him 10,
Well, no, what I'm talking about is when he said, he's lying when he said, I didn't understand the question.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, because he's saying, but you clearly did.
Also, okay, real quick, before we end this.
Yeah, go for it.
He learns, it's what, 20 years in the future? Because it was 97, right? It's way past 20 years in the future. Jim Carrey and his son learn that he recurses him because they want to see if it actually happened. There's part of them, they're like, was that real? How could it really have happened? It has to have been I had some kind of a weird mental breakdown that I couldn't say it. So his son recurses him and it works. And then Jim Carrey concentrates for the entire curse period, and he ends up saying a lie. He ends up fighting it so hard he ends up getting it out, and it makes the thing he lied about true in the universe. You know what I mean? If his willpower fought it hard enough, and he said the pen is red. Yeah. It actually turns the pen red because it has to be true because he said it. That's wild. Then the sequel is about the two of them wielding that power
together.
Right, because then it becomes a wish movie. Be careful what you wish for movie.
And then I'm making the world a better place with the intentions of it, but then it becomes like a monkey's paw. It was a monkey's claw.
Monkey's paw, yeah.
I'm thinking of Are You Afraid of the Dark, where they did the same thing.
He has to practice saying, he has to keep getting cursed by his son and then practicing. And so then he can, that's his superpower. He can say something is, and it just becomes true. That guy is about to explode.
That's actually a pretty good... And that's, that's not a bad allegory for the times we're living in. People say something on the internet, it's true.
It's true, right? We're the world after the presidency of Donald Trump and everything going on now. The world is primed for Liar Liar 2.
Yep. If there's anything to take away from this podcast,
God, you could call it Truther Truther. Holy fuck! That is a great title. How did I never think of that? That is so good. Holy shit. I can't be the first person to say that. Holy shit. That is that's so good.
Brilliant.
Holy fuck. All right. That's a good place to end it then.
Yeah.
Because we've been talking for 2.5 hours. So.
Oh, goddamn.
Yeah. This Brandon. Number one, I wanted to say, I legitimately miss hanging out with you.
Oh,
I know I've been a hermit, and you're a dad.
Yeah,
it just happens. But
I'm a hermit too. That's mixed in there a little bit.
Okay. But this was really refreshing, just because honestly. It was just great talking to you.
Yeah, dude. This was a lot of fun.
This was super fun. Do you have anything you want to point people to anymore? I know their IMDb stuff, but that kind of sells itself, doesn't it?
Not really. Just send good thoughts.
Send good thoughts. I mean, look up UndoTube.
Yeah. You look up UndoTube on YouTube. You could watch
Timecrowave. It's on my channel. Brandon's in it.
Timecrowave. Rent The Scorpion King 4: Quest for Power.
The best Scorpion King. Yeah.
And if there's a box set that comes out eventually, just get that too.
I should get a fucking Scorpion King 4 poster. Because I just so I could get you to sign it and hang it in my house.
Yeah. There we go.
And so people ask, Scorpion King 4?
And I'm not even on the poster, and I'm in the movie 10 times more than Lou Ferrigno, who is front and center, who dies within 5 minutes.
The fact that you started a movie with Lou Ferrigno is amazing.
Yeah, that was
Were you in the same? I haven't seen Scorpion King 4. That's the most shameful thing I have to say.
Oh, as you got to watch that. So no, I wasn't in a scene with him. I was hanging out on set the day he was there, but I didn't meet him.
Damn.
I did work with Barry Bostwick a lot, though. He was fucking cool.
He's in Scorpion King 4.
Yeah, he plays like an old professor's character. He's like a nerdy scientist who invents things to help the characters on their adventure. My character, I was like the henchman, the number one henchman to the villain. And because everybody in these movies just talks with like a vague British accent, so like the villain is British. And so I went into the audition. I just sort of did this Cockney accent like this, and they just called me Boris. And there's no explaining the accent, but I was just an asshole. So that's basically it.
That's incredible. So okay, everyone go and watch Scorpion King 4.
Yes, please. Give me some residuals, please.
I mean, you've watched it, right?
I have. Yeah, I went to a screening of it. when they had all the cast and crew come and we all watched it together.
Do you need to see Scorpion King 1 through 3 to understand?
No, not at all. You really don't. If you care deeply about the lore of Scorpion King,
I'm laughing because it's just like, how did that happen? You know. Is there a market for Scorpion King that big that they made it to 5?
The only thing I can point to is that there was a big audience with UFC fans and wrestling fans. Yeah. Because Scorpion King 3 had a bunch of like UFC fighters in it.
Well, one has The Rock, so.
And one has The Rock. And then so it continued. And then the one I was in, there were all these UFC fighters in them. I had breakfast with all of them. I had no idea who they were, but like I kind of recognized their faces. And I think I'm having breakfast and I say, I've never seen UFC before. And they're like, oh, it's really cool. You know, like I had nothing to talk with them about. And I was just like sitting here with like a bunch of big muscle dudes. And I think there's a continued market for that, I guess.
I remember the day Scorpion King 5 came out.
You remember the day?
Yes, because on like 2-3 days before that, they announced Dragonheart 5.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, the fact that there's 5 Scorpion Kings and 5 Dragonhearts, and we live in this world where that happened is nuts.
Yeah.
It's truly nuts. Can you imagine? I mean, you were on the set of Scorpion King 4. It's like those movies existing. The first thing I think is like, can you imagine being on that set? Like, yes, you can. You were there. But like, what do you talk with people about? Like, another day, waking up. It's time to make Scorpion King 4. I don't know. It's just funny. You know what I mean?
It is funny. There's just, it's purely like, the guy who directed it, Mike Elliott, he directs a lot of these kind of direct-to-DVD things for Universal. He did like Beethoven's Big Break. I'm pretty sure he directed the 5th Scorpion King one too.
Oh, really?
And he's just like a real. He just has fun with it, and not really that much fun. You know, he's just a very competent director. He knows how to get things moving, and he knows how to. You know, they're just looking for a return on their small investment of it was probably $10 million budget.
It's not a bad job,
if that. Yeah,
that's a good living. Yeah, I'm not trying to insult it. I was just saying,
no, not at all. And you can insult it if you want.
Well, no, you're in it. It's part of your life.
It is. It was 2 months in Romania.
Oh, I didn't know it was filmed in Romania.
Filmed in Romania.
Man, you should have tried to get into the Dragonheart franchise when you had a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the other one you just said, the one that he directs, Beethoven.
God, I would love to be in a Beethoven movie. I would kill for that. Just a straight to DVD Beethoven movie. Give it to me. I'll be the.
Your whole career could have been like you could have been the next Eric Roberts. or something. Like if you just did all the direct-to-DVD sequels, like you did American Pie, you did Scorpion King, you just needed that third. You need to keep going.
I needed to keep going and just be like, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Yeah, I'll do whatever. Give me any sequel. Yeah. You want me to do Land Before Time 17? I am fucking down.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like Air Bud 20. Let's go.
Yeah,
like, I'll play the dad.
Yeah, I'll be a bumbling mailman. I don't give a shit.
All right. So thanks a lot, man. I think that's we can't talk. We got nothing else, right?
Yeah. And I gotta go to bed.
You gotta go to bed. I don't want to keep you up any longer. All right.
This was a lot of fun, man.
This was so fun. Thanks, man. I'm gonna say goodbye.
All right. Goodbye, Bob.